News Channel.
Welcome to State of the Nation, daily plunge into the stories shaping our country. I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and Monday to Thursday we bring you the insights, the facts, the truth about how our country is being governed. Because what happens in Downing Street matters down your street. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GBNews, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Will, please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Conservative MPs have finally chosen their top two for the leadership. And now, it's over to the members. Join me, Christopher Hope, on Thursday as Kevin Badenoch and Robert Jenrick are quizzed by Conservative Party members and myself at our GB News leadership event.
And afterwards, join me, Patrick Christie's, with a live studio audience and a star panel as we discuss what it means for the Conservative Party and what it means for you. Decision time, the race to lead, from 7 p.m. this Thursday, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain.
Police in America foil a potential third assassination attempt against Donald Trump.
A man has been released on bail after being arrested outside a Trump rally in Coachella, California, carrying weapons and multiple fake identity documents.
He's 49 years of age and he denies wanting to hurt the former president, as the police claim he belongs to far-right group Sovereign Citizens.
Elsewhere, business leaders warn the government taxing jobs would threaten employment and damage investment ahead of the autumn budget.
10 more years of small boats. The Home Office sets aside £500 million to manage 2 migrant centres in a bid to curb illegal immigration.
And with the Met warning a wet winter is on the cards, the Met Office will be looking at how prepared the UK is to deal with torrential rain on Flood Safety Awareness Week.
Strictly Come scandal. Wyn Evans and Katja Jones speak out after an awkward on-air moment that received major public backlashes.
Plus, as graduate salaries are falling, we're asking, are degrees worth the money?
And in sport, England finished off the finish with a 3-1 win in Helsinki. The women's world marathon record has been smashed in Chicago. It's down to those super shoes, you see. And in sailing, it looks like Britain's 163-year wait to win the America's Cup could go on just a little longer.
Rain clearing to the east through this morning, but will you see sunshine by this afternoon? Find out more with me later.
Hello there on this Monday morning. We start the day with me, Eamonn Holmes.
And me, Isabel Webster, and you're tuned into GB News Breakfast.
Hope you're all well on this Monday morning. We're not sure
We're a motley crew, aren't we?
how well we are, because we were just sitting there today and we're sitting discussing in great detail our various aches and pains. Isabel, for you?
Well, I've just got over a really bad bout of back trouble, but now I've got a cold, so I'm feeling a bit sorry for myself.
You're over the back trouble?
Well, I'm going through a lot of rehab. I'm doing all my reformer Pilates and my one-to-one physio, so I'm feeling much better than I was about 2 weeks ago when I was in agony.
Well, then video we have to show of you later in the programme may not have been a wise thing.
I know.
We'll look at that.
But I've passed the baton on to Coity.
Hold on, what did you do? What is there a video?
Oh.
Oh, well, this is what she did.
Go on.
Everybody see, here's what she did. This was Isabella. There it goes.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Very good.
Very,
It
very
doesn't
good.
show how frightening that was. I was high up in the trees.
Well, at least like 15 feet.
At least.
Well, I couldn't do it. I mean, my ailments would prevent me from doing it. What ailments have you got?
It's just about... Well, Izzy's actually... Well, what was that exercise? You said put your foot on your knee...
Your ankle on your knee, push down your knee with one hand and then stretch with the opposite
See, I've done
hand.
a bit of this and I feel better about it.
Well,
there we go.
Stretching is the key to everything, so they tell me. I've never been very flexible throughout my whole life, never.
See, there were kids at school that were really good at gymnastics. Do you remember those ones that would do it? I couldn't do it. I couldn't even do like a head over heels without
I couldn't even
whacking
touch my toes.
Could you not?
Never
Could you
have
not?
been able to.
Really?
What's your idea? People that would do, what's that thing you do when you roll? You
Forward
put your
roll.
head-
Flick-flacks, flip-flops.
Forward roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, forward roll. So
Never been able to do that.
Yeah.
I'd love to see you try to do that. That would be funny.
Maybe we'll get a horse. When I say a horse, I don't mean a horse.
old
I mean a horse
school
like a
gym-
vaulting
yeah,
horse. And maybe then do the...
A horse is a horse.
Of course.
And no one can talk to a horse, of course. That is, of course, unless that horse is...
Famous Mr. Ed.
There you go. This is what they pay the big bucks for, guys.
It is.
There's no idea what we're talking about.
I'm very
See, what it
entertained.
proves-
Mr. Ed was a talking horse.
Oh.
See, what it actually proves is while there were kids that were doing all the jumping and gymnastics, me and Eamonn were sitting at home watching bad TV. That's what it proves.
But I suppose we want to hear from you at home. How are you feeling? Are you feeling a little bit under the weather, a little bit worse for wear as we head into another rainy week? Let us know. gbnews.com/.
See you later, Paul.
See you later.
Top story this morning, a potential third assassination attempt on former American President Donald Trump was thwarted on Saturday night.
So local police have arrested an armed man. He was carrying multiple weapons as well as fake passports, and he was attempting to get into a Trump rally in California.
He's 49 years of age. He's from Las Vegas. His name is Vern Miller. He denied wanting to hurt the former president after being released on bail.
Well, this comes as the local county sheriff said the man in question was likely to be a sovereign citizen, which is somebody who they believe does not believe in government control.
Now, we're joined now by American political strategist Scotty Neil Hughes on this one. Scotty, I'm a bit confused about this. If this guy was such a threat, why on earth is he out on bail?
Well, the question is there really a threat? There's still a lot of questions on Vern Miller and his arrest and what his intentions were, as initial reports actually show him to be a Trump supporter, a MAGA supporter, at least someone who has followed around various conservatives, taking pictures with them and posting. So a lot of questions remain about Mr. Miller and his arrest. But I will say this is the first time of the 3 attempted assassinations that we potentially know about where the sheriff outright came out and said, and almost immediately, his name, his age, his address, gave us more information to the public than we've had in the last 2 assumed assassination attempts of President Trump. You've also seen President Trump take a different stance where he praised Secret Service and law enforcement, and especially in the second assassination attempt and how they're handling his security. That was something that we did not have following the Butler, Pennsylvania rally. But I think the bigger picture in all this, we are 21 days away from the presidential election in the United States. Obviously, it is very tense. It is very emotional. And I think this just shows how careful we need to be here in the United States on both sides of the aisle of what is being said about the 2 candidates that are running for presidential offices. Obviously, the American people are engaged and they're paying attention to what is going on in our country and what is being said by these politicians.
Do you think the fact that he has openly said he won't accept the result unless he wins, do you think that that is contributing to the kind of febrile tensions that are being experienced by Americans? Or do you think that this unprecedented level of threat towards him is to do with the Capitol riots that we saw last month? What do you think is the reason behind this, if you can put a reason behind these sorts of things?
Well, I don't think you can put a lot of reasoning. I think it's a complete insane person to even take those types of steps towards any person, but especially someone running for elected office. But I think some of the very dangerous rhetoric that we've seen on the left, I mean, even just recently, I was just looking at, you had just on last week, MSNBC, you had the Commerce Secretary come out and actually say that we need to extend, I think her exact words are, I want to make sure I get these correct, that we need to extinguish for good Donald Trump. And that's the Biden-Harris current Commerce Secretary saying this. You're having people in current office on the left kind of making light of the Donald Trump assassination attempts, the ones that we know are confirmed. And I think that's what's very dangerous and why you're seeing so many people right now probably not thinking logically if they ever were before, using common sense.
Now, it's not going to go away, these sort of threats or suspicions of these sort of threats. I mean, it must be very, very frightening. It now looks as though wherever Trump appears, there is the possibility of an assassination attempt on him, and perhaps that then spreads to other high-profile political people like Kamala Harris in America. How bad is this situation, and does it in any way work for the candidate as opposed to working against the candidate?
How sad is it that this is the news headline that you're heading off your story right now? Because it is so important that I think if you see any assassination attempt on a leader of a major country like the U.S., but the same would be said about Great Britain or any major country in the world right now, that we're living, the West is supposed to be a place of peace, a place where democracy rules and where people express themselves not by violence, by at the ballot box. And yet here we find ourselves in 2024 in an election where you've had multiple assassination attempts and threats against the President of the United States. This is not a third world country where coups and other ideas like this happen. No, this is happening in the United States of America. And I think I speak on behalf of almost all Americans that this just states how sad it is that our politics have become so dangerous in today's world. And if we do not press a big, I say the word reset, if we do not try to bring things back to civility in America today, that's going to continue to be felt in ripples in other countries in their election systems as well. We have got to start bringing common sense and sensibility and peace back to this process, or we're going to continue to have just a complete mistrust and distrust of all elections, but especially something as high as for the Oval Office.
Just lastly, can you tell us a little bit about sovereign citizen, which is what the county sheriff has said that the man in question was affiliated with? And this is someone who doesn't believe in government control. So, you know, is that a popular group? Is it an underground group? Tell it, because we're not familiar with it here.
I've never heard of it before. And unfortunately, you have a lot of these fringe groups, and whether it's a fringe group on the right or the left, sadly enough, violence can be felt. Usually it's pushed by both sides. So I don't know if this is an extreme progressive group like we hear of Antifa, or if this is an extreme conservative group like they say of Proud Boys. Never heard of this group before coming into this, which means it's probably not necessarily popular. It's not necessarily, definitely not in the circles that I would ever run into. That being said, it will be interesting to see as more research goes into this group as to how large and the extent they are. But at this point, they've never really been on the mainstream before. And I seriously doubt after this association that they'll ever have a chance after this. At least I hope not.
Scotty Nell, appreciate your analysis. Thank you very much indeed. Good talking to you. We say goodbye.
Thank you.
But what I don't understand is, right, so you get a guy coming along and he's got arms, he's got fake passports and other fake identification and things like that, and he's given bail.
I know, it's very strange.
Yeah.
I think they'll regret that decision. Just the optics of that is terrible, even if he isn't considered to be a wider threat. Obviously, they've made that assessment, but it just seems bonkers to us. Apparently, Donald Trump hasn't played a single round of golf since the previous assassination attempt, and I'm not surprised. I mean, apparently that man was lying in wait for all those hours and was only spotted, luckily, by an eagle-eyed member of his team. But, you know, it's obviously having an impact on him personally, because golf is a huge... I mean, everyone thinks Trump golf. I mean, he plays golf all the time. So, you know, 3.5 weeks off from Election Day, and he's obviously worried for his safety, and you would be.
You would be. You absolutely would be. Your views, all very welcome. Have your say. To politics here in Britain, the government is at risk of scaring away businesses as they plan to increase companies' national insurance contributions in the budget in 2 weeks' time.
So city leaders are warning of a threat to jobs and damage to investment in the UK.
In the meantime, Labour has set aside more than £500 million to manage small boat arrivals across the Channel for the next 10 years.
The Home Office is seeking commercial partners to run 2 facilities to receive and process illegal migrants until January 2032.
Let's go to Catherine Foster. She'll give you the details on this. Catherine, good morning. What's your view?
Yes, good morning, Eamonn and Isabel. Well, speculation about what might be in Rachel Reeves' budget on October the 30th continues. Real worries now that she might be planning to put up employers' national insurance contributions, and the boss of Lloyds Bank has written a letter today saying that that would act as a handbrake on investment if it happens. Now, Labour were very clear in their manifesto that they wouldn't put up taxes like income tax, VAT, national insurance. But Jonathan Reynolds, the business secretary, pointing out yesterday that those are taxes that they're not going to increase on working people. Those are the critical words. In other words, it may be that they think there's a path to increasing national insurance contributions on employers. Now, many people will say that ultimately that will come back to affect working people. Anyway, so not long to wait, but real fears among businesses about what that might do. And today is a really important day for the government because they're hosting their first International Investment Summit in central London. Business leaders across AI, life sciences, insurance, etc. Expected to announce major amounts of money being invested in this country. The Prime Minister going to say that Britain is open for business, going to promise apparently to crack down on red tape where it is needlessly holding back investment. The government wants to paint an optimistic picture saying, we believe in Britain, we've got a great future, come and bring money into this country. It's a bit tricky though, isn't it, given the amount of time they've spent since they came to power saying, things are really difficult. It's a really difficult picture. We're going to have to make really tough choices.
A couple of other questions, Catherine, about this investment summit, not least that the Transport Secretary, who we know has a sort of close affiliation with the unions, almost jeopardising this £1 billion worth of investment from the parent company of P&O Ferries. And also the question of Elon Musk. Has he been snubbed or is he snubbing them? Was he invited or is he just not? You know, what's the deal there? Do we know?
Well, with Elon Musk, it seems to be a bit of both. It seems to be pretty clear that they did not invite him, and they've sort of tried to brush that aside, saying, well, you know, lots of people wanted to come, not everybody can go. But I do think Elon Musk, you know, is massively, massively wealthy and influential. And looking back to last November, when the then Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, had an AI summit, Elon Musk was a very important guest. Elon Musk, of course, a big supporter of Donald Trump, has been very critical of the new government in Britain and its treatment of prisoners in particular. So I think there's no love lost on either side. With regards to Transport Secretary Louise Haigh, she put her foot in it last week, saying that she boycotted P&O Ferries after their disgraceful fire and rehire, a scandal of a couple of years ago that this government is saying they're making illegal. The government have made clear that's not their position, but the owners of that company did think about pulling out of the summit. It could have cost £1 billion of investment. It sounds like they are going to go. That's all been sort of dealt with. But yes, certainly a misstep ahead of a very important day today.
Thanks, Catherine. Thank you very much indeed. Very wet day today, yeah. It is, it has to be said. And as we approach the budget, at the end of the month. Many of you are concerned about what exactly the Chancellor may have in store.
Yes, one big concern for those in the private rental sector is the potential spike in capital gains tax.
Our North West of England reporter Sophie Reaper spoke to a private landlord in Manchester who could be affected by the predicted increases.
So we're on a piece of land that I bought about 20 years ago, and I finally came round to thinking about developing it.
Cyan is a private landlord in Manchester. It's her only source of revenue, and yet, come the budget at the end of this month, her livelihood could be set to take a massive hit.
What they're thinking of doing, because Labour just want to bring all the money in, so they want to potentially align income tax rates with capital gains. So at the minute, capital gains is between 18 and 24% on any gain that you make. And they're thinking of lifting it, I believe, up to maybe, I don't know, 40, 45%. I think we should be taxing the super rich. We should be taxing corporations. We should be taxing people that are taking money offshore. But we're not. Once again, they're going for low-hanging fruit. They're going for easy people to pick off.
Before 2020, the annual allowance before facing capital gains tax was £12,300. But then it was dropped to just £3,000. Now, any profits over that will be taxed, and come the end of the month, that tax could be increased to around 40%. Looking at the big picture, Cyan worries that this may even have a negative impact on the UK's economy.
Within the private rented sector, the NRLA have commissioned some research, and if you're at the 40-45% level on CGT, actually they estimate that the Treasury will lose 3.6 billion over 10 years, not gain just from CGT. They're shooting themselves in the foot because they lose all their income tax, and actually it will mean that long term they're not gaining from these changes, but they might very well lose. So has Labour really done its sums?
Sophie Reaper, GB News.
Interesting one. That may affect a lot of you. A lot of you will say, well, it doesn't affect me, it doesn't affect me, it doesn't affect Isabel. But interesting, if you're looking to, find a way of making your income grow, having a bit on the side, as it were, is that going to put you off? And I would suspect it does, the fear of all of that. And I think the fear, people who have pensions, for instance, and they're wondering about if they draw some money down, will the budget hit the tax on that amount of money you're drawing down?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just so many consequences to many of these announcements that they're going to make, unforeseen quite often, even by the Chancellor and her team in the Treasury. It often takes a while for these things to be sort of worked out by everybody, but, there's a reason why people are being a little bit uncertain about what's coming in this Halloween budget.
Why is the government obsessed with clawing money back from all of us? I mean, they win with a massive majority, whatever, and they have this huge gain in seats and whatever. So why do they then want to make themselves incredibly unpopular straight away with elderly pensioners taking away the winter fuel allowance, with, going in with taxing national insurance and taxes? The state of this country with taxes is untrue. I mean, what is value-added tax?
I know.
What is my value-added? Do I have value-added tax on my spectacles, for instance? I don't know. Or if you were to buy tumblers like this, is there value-added tax on them? No idea. Why do some things have value-added tax and some don't? Capital gains tax, which you've just talked about there, again.
Inheritance tax, or
any opportunity
for you to get on. They've saved and got something to pass on, and then they can't. But I suppose the government would say they've picked up at this huge black hole. There are all these unfunded policies that the Conservatives they'll claim no intention of ever paying for. They've now got to be the responsible party and sort that out.
Why?
That's their argument.
Why?
What do you think? Borrow more?
Why?
I mean, they are going to borrow more, and they've said they will.
Why?
Changing the rules on that as well.
We've ticked along quite nicely, owing money in the past. Most countries around the world owe money. Why this obsession with doing all the bad things and the hard things first? Are they right? Are they wrong? Your views? Let me know. Is it just me?
No. 6:21. Let's take a look at some of the other stories coming into the newsroom this morning. And 4 soldiers have been killed and more than 60 wounded in a drone strike on an army base in northern Israel. Lebanese militant group Hezbollah have claimed responsibility for the attack. This comes as the United Nations peacekeeping mission has said Israeli tanks have forcibly entered its base in southern Lebanon.
Alex Salmond's family have paid tribute to the former First Minister of Scotland after he died at the weekend, aged 69. In a statement released by the Alba Party, Mr. Salmon's family said he was a formidable politician with outstanding intellect.
Sir Keir Starmer has reportedly taken down portraits of Elizabeth I and Sir Walter Raleigh that were on display in Downing Street. It comes after the Prime Minister faced criticism when it emerged he'd removed a painting of Margaret Thatcher. In response, a Number 10 spokesperson said a change of artwork had been planned before the election.
I'm just trying to find out what they've replaced that artwork with.
Oh, really?
So they've replaced it with a Portuguese, don't ask me why, artist who, what would you say, promotes the work of women. That's fine, very good, no argument. But why in Downing Street extol the virtues of a Portuguese artist?
Surely if you want to, be a feminist, you celebrate Elizabeth I. The first
I see what you mean.
female.
I see what you mean. But whoever it is, it surely has to be somebody who's British,
Queen
as
Elizabeth
opposed
I.
to somebody who's Portuguese. So again, what a lot of guff that goes on. Honestly, we're going to promote feminism around the world. We'll use a Portuguese artist. Oh, go get lost. Honestly, it really is. They just need to be told who sits and thinks this.
But this all feeds into this whole Sue Gray, Morgan McSweeney. Whoever's briefing this stuff out, I mean, this is just not a good look for them. They need to sort out their comms team. Alistair Campbell would not have had this happening. Let us know if you agree, disagree, whether you care or not. And in the meantime, we are prepping to talk in just a moment about Strictly Come Dancing. Did you watch it? Did you not? Was there a grope? Was there a rebuttal? Does the apology smack of, what is the word? What's the word?
It's a bit too
been
touchy-feely,
told
anyway.
to make an official apology. Anyway, we'll be discussing all of that in just a moment.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Will, please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Quite a few actors on this programme on a Friday night, and I always ask them the same question. Was you a nuisance at school?
I was quite naughty, yeah. I got the slipper in front of the whole school at the age of 6.
Really?
It was quite humiliating. And I got the cane as well a bit later on, yeah.
But it didn't do me any harm, did it, really?
No, do you know what? I think, the schools these days, things have changed a lot, haven't they? And you've got your kids assaulting teachers and stuff.
Well, we're not advocating violence at all.
Not at all. And well, but I think, my mother used to be quite strict with me as a boy, but I probably needed it. I did things like, I watched a Western once and I saw these the Indians firing blazing arrows into the cowboys' truck or whatever, in the cabin. So I thought, I'll have a go at that. And I had a bow and arrow with some petrol in the garage. I found a rag and fired this flaming arrow into the next door neighbour's fence.
So you're an arsonist as well?
Yeah. Box of matches, absolutely. What excitement. And my mother ran out of the kitchen with a bowl of washing up water and threw it over the fence. What on earth are you doing?
Do not try this at home, by the way.
No.
So, what got you into acting, John?
Well, I went to the cinema every week because we didn't have a TV. Yeah. So I really got into watching these movies. And I used to come out, and then I'd go to Saturday morning pictures as well. And I'd come out of the movie and I'd feel like Paul Newman for about an hour. Yeah. Or I'd pretend to be with my friends when we were younger. Yeah. We'd go playing games along the beach in North Kent. And Bay. And so that's how I got the taste of it, I guess. Then I joined an amateur dramatic society, local theatre group. I did Oliver, and I played Noah Claypole, who locks Oliver in the coffin. In Oliver.
Did you have a dog?
Yes, an untrained pit bull. And I got up onto the stage. I tied him to the table in the tavern. Did across the stage with the table. And on another occasion, he lifted his leg against the table as well. So
GB News, the People's Channel.
Nightmare commute? Kick it up a gear with GB News Radio. You can listen online and on DAB+ and on the GB News app. We're also on TuneIn and the Radio Player apps. From the school run to rush hour, get revved up with GB News Radio. We are the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right now, over the weekend, and it's in the front pages of most of the papers today, Katya Jones, Wyn Evans, Katya's a dancer, Wyn is a contestant on Strictly, and they were forced to address touching.
Yeah.
I mean,
a slightly awkward moment. I don't know if you saw it on Saturday night. Lots of fans caught it. Let's take a look at this. It was sort of outrage at home. So there they are on the left of the screen, Katya in the white, and Wyn put this hand there, and she's just moving his hand away. And there's just a suggestion that perhaps he was going a little bit too far. Now, they have issued an apology, both of them. A lot of people suggesting that that is a little bit half-hearted. So is this a story? Is this just because there's so much interest in Strictly at the moment? Let's listen to this sort. This was their apology.
Hi, everyone. It's Wyn and Katya here. We just wanted to say we were just messing around in the auditorium on Saturday night and just want to say sorry. It was a silly joke.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, Katya obviously didn't want to make a big deal of it. Let's get the views now of showbiz journalist. We say hello, good morning, welcome, Julianne Traynor.
Hi.
With this one.
Morning.
Watching that, what did you feel?
Yeah, it was a bit uncomfortable, but I don't really think Wyn meant any harm by it. But a lot of viewers obviously were a bit shocked when they saw it. And then there was a second incident later in the night whenever Wyn tried to high-five Katya, and she more or less just blanked him and turned her back on him. So people are now wondering, I guess, how genuine the relationship is. And
yeah, she does an eye roll.
Yeah.
What's her problem? She doesn't. She's not
know.
enjoying being with him, maybe. Oh, you see, I suppose all the interest comes because of the bullying allegations, because of the need for chaperones in training. There's a question, isn't there now, about the relationship between these highly ambitious, pushy, but very accomplished dancers and their celebrities. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, and I guess it's not just the celebrities who have something to gain by being on this show, it's also the dancers, because, I mean, the longer they stay on it, it also raises their profile as well, and then they're more than likely to be asked back the following year as well. And a lot of the pro dancers themselves are now like celebrities. Whenever they go to events, they're very much well known, people want photos taken with them, so they have a lot to gain as well by staying on the show.
But we're just looking at that, I mean, is it inappropriate where his hand was going?
I mean, it does look a bit strange to go that low. But then again, maybe he didn't realise because he is standing behind her. But then also their apology came under criticism as well, because a lot of people say it looked a bit forced, it looked a bit uncomfortable, and perhaps they feel they need to do that now after all the controversy the show has been under.
Why would she be the one apologising? When he was quite clearly... that was...
She's in control. That's it. She's showing she's in control with all of that. The BBC is out of control, of course, in anything at all that happens, anything, they will interrupt and apologise because they listen too much to what people have to say at home, which is to just ignore, really, most of the time. However, having said that, all the talk, and you will know this, Julie, that with contestants and dancers, is that it is a hothouse of passion in there, and always has been. And when you look at it, when you look at how intimate you would actually get, a touching feeling and whatever else you do there.
Strictly Gas is a thing.
It definitely is a thing. It definitely is a thing. So it ain't going to go away.
Yeah, well, I also feel as well sorry for them because they have been consistently very good each week with their dancing. Craig tipped them to possibly be winners. Shirley also said that they're in it to win it. So I feel like this incident has sort of overshadowed all of that and all of their hard work. And it's all people are talking about rather than the actual show itself.
Yeah, watch this high five, Eamonn. Oh, did you see it? So he goes to high five her.
Yeah.
And she turns around and look at her face. She's rolling her eyes, and then there goes the showbiz smile. But Wynne seems unbothered.
Yeah.
He seems to be having the time of his life.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Do you
what's going
think
on
that
there.
that guarantees they're out next round?
Well, I don't know out next round, but I definitely feel like it could have an impact on how far they go in the competition, because obviously viewers want to believe in the relationship and the friendship, and I don't think that did it any favours, unfortunately.
See, Julianne, you take the comparison of being close to a partner, and you know, like in my case, having a TV wife here, and whatever, and that's why we strictly apply a sort of quite a turgid relationship.
Turgid relationship.
Have nothing intimate or nice between us. That's
Nothing nice.
When you look at all those breakfast presenters, and you could go through and say, he hates her, she hates him, and they do. And I used to say it about Phil and Holly, but nobody would believe me. False. False. False.
Here we go. There's your
whole
scoop
thing.
for the day.
Yeah.
We're the real deal. Julianne Traynor, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Julianne.
And just make sure you tell us at home what you think. Did you watch it? Did you think that apology was sincere? I think I now get what everyone was saying. I think it was a bit weird.
Yeah, well, outside today, it's a miserable day, but you know what? It reminded me of going to school.
I think you say home.
It did remind me of home, yeah, because it just nothing but rains.
Sheeting down.
Sorry?
Sheeting down?
Oh, right.
Is that not
That's
a phrase?
what she said. Amy Bakota with the weather update.
Despite the morning rain, it'll be a nice, warm, cosy day ahead. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Rain across the southeast through this morning, but it will be clearing away. Remaining cloudy across the south, though, sunnier further north in this afternoon. So fairly wet and damp start to the day for the southern half of the UK. Rain will slowly and steadily move eastwards and it will turn drier by the time we head into the early afternoon, although some rain will linger on the North Sea coast as well. Further north, though, Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, drier and brighter through the afternoon. Temperatures milder into the double figures. And again, milder across the south, but feeling probably still fairly cool underneath that cloud that will be quite stubborn through the afternoon as well. Into the evening, then, we've got rain across Orkney and Shetland lingering on, and those winds again strengthening from that southerly direction. Drier and clearer across eastern parts through the evening, and parts of Northern Ireland, again, largely staying dry, just a few cloudy spells as we head through this evening. But from northern England, Wales and further south, it will still be quite a cloudy evening through Monday as well, and lingering on in towards this evening. Overnight, that cloud is going to remain, is going to thicken, heading in towards the early hours of Tuesday. And this southerly wind is going to strengthen overnight as well. We can start to see with these wind arrows, it's strengthening as we head in towards Tuesday morning. So with the cloud and with those strengthening winds, fairly mild across the south, a few spots into single figures across the far north, but generally it'll be a milder, cloudier start to Tuesday. Through the rest of Tuesday then, so quite a cloudy picture apart from the very far north of Scotland, but notice that strong southerly wind. It will be noticeably breezier through Tuesday, and particularly over high ground and parts of Scotland as well. Heavy showers beginning to push into perhaps parts of Northern Ireland later, and it'll be fairly mild, but in that breeze it probably still will be feeling fairly cool.
Woo! A chilly start will give way to a lovely, warm afternoon. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Time is ticking on your chance to win £36,000 cash. It is, of course, the Great British Giveaway.
Yeah, and there are just 2 weeks remaining to get your entry in, so make sure you don't miss out. Here are all the details you need.
There's only on demand. Good luck. Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday from 8 p.m.
You must be so proud of your daughter being so just amazingly brave and a model for other people who face illness.
I think we're proud of her all day, every day, and always have been. Liz has always given her all to anything she put her mind to, whether that was studying for her GCSE exams at school or whether it's been her photography and battling cancer. Liz never does anything by half, and we are so incredibly proud of her each and every day.
And Liz, I noticed a wonderful line from you saying that when you've got cancer, A-levels don't matter so much. That seems to me to be a very reasonable view to take, and has given you then the chance to do these other amazing things that you will be doing more of in future with the London Ambulance Service. And I imagine many people will want to help you with your bucket list because they've now seen you and seen how brave you are.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we've already been overwhelmed by the responses and the support by so many people. I think when my mum originally posted the list, it received like 4,000 replies. It was insane, and still there's more. So from the bottom of our hearts, and especially mine, we just want to say thank you, because there's nothing that forces anyone to get in touch and say, hey, I have something you can do, pop over and do this or that, or it's just out of the generosity of their hearts. So thank you.
GB News, the People's Channel.
The latest GB News travel.
Hello, good morning. I'm Andy Hilbert with the latest on the roads across the UK from Monday morning. In Gloucestershire, the northbound M5, there's a lane closed due to a broken down vehicle, junction 14 at Thornbury to junction 13 at Stroud. In Somerset on the northbound M5, one lane closed due to an accident, junction 20 for Cleveland to junction 19 at Portishead. And in London, in Wimbledon Hill Road is currently closed due to emergency repairs between Ridgeway and Woodside. In County Durham, Hartlepool, Bellevue Way at the moment is currently now open following the earlier accident investigation work from Burn Road to Brenda Road, and also to in East Sussex, New Haven Southway. The bridge is due to open at 9 a.m. there. That's New Haven Swing Bridge, of course. And in Dorset at the moment on the A31 Mill Street. This is in the Corthmullen area. There's a lane closed due to emergency repairs near to Highbury Heights. Across the UK this morning, you're up to date.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Got Paul looking back at some of the big football matches yesterday. Paul, they were...
Well, the first one, we should mention Manchester United 3, Spurs 0 in the women's game.
That's very true.
And in the men's game, it was Spurs 3, Manchester United 0.
All right.
So we're 3-3 at the moment, aren't we? We're 3-3 at the moment.
Neck and neck.
There we are.
Neck
Now,
and
it's
neck.
Finland 1, England 3. Jack Grealish celebrated the birth of his baby. You have to do that. It's only two celebrations, isn't there? When the baby's born, how do you feel about that? There's that one, or there's that one. So he did the thumb in the mouth one to celebrate that.
Yeah.
Is there anything a little bit more original, do you think? I don't know.
You could lay an egg or something. I'm trying to think of another.
That would be original. That would be.
Are you asking for other demonstrations?
I
don't know what else
so
to
Izzy
suggest.
is now going to do that one for us. There you go. Anyway, the thing is not about the win and about the fact that England did manage to beat Finland. It's about Lee Carsley.
Right.
Lee Carsley, who's the interim manager. We just don't know whether he's going to be around. Everybody's going, oh, my goodness, we need to know. We need the FA to tell us. Why? Do we really need to know yet? He was given 6 games, 3 batches of 2.
Yeah.
So there's another 2 still to go in November. Lee Carsley is 1 minute is kind of saying he kind of wants the job. Then he's saying, well, actually, no, I'm going to stick with the under-21s. Then he said during the ITV interview, it needs to go to someone who has won things and has been a manager for a while. So that kind of rules him out. I don't know whether this is him just thinking, I'd like the job, but I don't want to say I want the job because if I don't get the job, it's going to make me look worse. You know?
Well, he also played for the Republic of Ireland.
Yeah.
Who were playing yesterday as well. They didn't do so well. They lost 2-0, and that's a bad situation for them.
But the thing is, Greece are doing well, and Greece managed.
I agree, but
well, let's see what Lee Carsley. This is what Lee Carsley had to say. See if we can make any sense of this.
The point I was trying to make is that it's one of the top jobs in the world. Obviously I'm not part of the process, but it deserves a top coach. The players that we've got available, you've got a real chance of winning. So that was the point I was making.
Really said anything there throughout the whole thing. Well, obviously, but he obviously wants the job. Of course he is, but he's not actually going to say it. But what manager actually does go out and say, I definitely want this job, because if they don't get the job, then they're going to be left disappointed.
Well, remember Brian Clough went out and said that.
Yeah.
That he wanted the job and he didn't get it.
Didn't get the job.
Yeah.
Carsley's no Clough, though, is he? Carsley's no Clough.
No.
In tennis,
Novak Djokovic, I think it's over for him.
It's beginning to crumble, isn't it?
It is. Because...
it's beginning for Sinner. Sinner's going to finish the season world #1. And I'm so ready for a new tennis hero.
It's time. Federer's gone, Murray's retired, Nadal has announced his retirement, so maybe it's time for Djokovic. Yeah. It's the third time that Yannick Sinner has beaten Novak Djokovic now on the bounce. But the thing is, there's still this huge controversy around Yannick Sinner with this drug ban which is hanging over him. Because if you remember, we spoke about it. He tested positive for illegal substances, shall we say. When I say illegal, it's illegal when it comes to sport, through a masseur that had massaged some sort of cream into his legs, and that was against the law. But anyway, he's got this drug ban hanging over him because the World Anti-Doping Agency have now come back and said, we are now going to a tribunal, and we're not happy with this decision. So why are you laughing at? Why are you laughing?
Because I wish I could go to his masseur and get something illegal rubbed into me. Anything that would make me walk.
With TV presenting, it's a legal substance. So you'd be but if you were playing tennis, it wouldn't.
So are you suggesting Sinner by name, Sinner by nature?
That's exactly what I'm suggesting. That's exactly it. I think there could be a year ban. So they're now going to arbitration, the Court of Arbitration for Sport, who usually work opposite situation when you've got people that have been banned trying to get themselves unbanned. It's now the other way around.
Okay, Kenya and traditions associated with middle distance and long distance running. This lady, Ruth, this is amazing. So she's broken the world record on the marathon, but by 2 minutes.
Incredible. Ruth Chepngetich from Kenya. 2 minutes off the world record, which is incredible. But this is another form of doping, and that's the shoe doping, they're calling it. Because it's these new super shoes, which are making people go so much faster.
I want some of those.
I know, but the thing is, and it's almost like the bounce that you would get off there would propel them. And if she would, in the Chicago Marathon 40 years ago, in 1984, when Steve Jones, who was our runner, who broke the world record, she'd be 4th in the men's race. This is how fast she is.
Gosh.
So there's something strange when a whole 2 minutes comes off a world record.
It's not like 5 seconds.
Well, that's it. You're going to raise your eyebrows and you think, well, if it's not one thing, is it the shoes? So
okay, my friend.
Going on there.
Look, when you come back, we're going to be featuring Conkers, and we're going to be talking about those in the World Conker Championship. But for the moment, Paul, it's a knockout. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Right, we'll be back in just a moment going through what's making the news with Dawn Neeson, and today we're joined also by Abby Hookway. See you in a sec.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Conservative MPs have finally chosen their top 2 for the leadership. And now, it's over to the members. Join me, Christopher Hope, on Thursday as Kevin Badenoch and Robert Jenrick are quizzed by Conservative Party members and myself at our GB News leadership event.
And afterwards, join me, Patrick Christys, with a live studio audience and a star panel as we discuss what it means for the Conservative Party and what it means for you. Decision time, the race to lead, from 7 p.m. this Thursday, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, Italian wine in Britain is worth a whopping £891 million and can be described as a Prosecco phenomenon, apparently. So joining us now to tell us more about why these Italian bubbles are so popular is Ed Smith, the founder of The Emissary, a British-based Prosecco brand. Good morning, Ed.
Morning, guys.
Thank you for coming in, and you've done just as we asked. You come laden with booze and bottles and glasses.
Exactly.
So the definition of Prosecco, Tatiana, you were saying earlier, is sparkling wine that's been made in certain areas of Italy. Which areas?
Exactly. So the Prosecco region is northeast Italy. It's about sort of an hour north of Venice. Foothills of Dolomite Mountains. Very, very beautiful part of Italy. Veneto, exactly. Well done.
Show off.
I'm half Italian, so...
well, there we go. OK, you should be teaching me.
No, that's it.
So, yeah, so like Champagne, that has to come from the Champagne region in France. Prosecco has to come from the Prosecco region in Italy. And it's different to Champagne and other sparkling wines, like English sparkling wine, in that geography, like we just mentioned, has to come from that region in Italy. The grapes that are used are different. So Prosecco has to be at least 85% Glera, which is the native grape to the region. And it's most importantly the method. So Champagne and English sparkling wines use the traditional method, where second fermentation, which produces the bubbles, happens in the bottle. Whereas Prosecco uses what's called the Charmat method. So the second fermentation happens in still vats. It's a much quicker process, and that's why Prosecco is a bit more affordable.
So the Emissary is a British-based Prosecco brand.
Yeah.
So is it made in the UK?
No, made in Italy.
Yeah, that's why you can call it Prosecco.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't call it Prosecco unless it's made in those two regions.
Great. So can we get stuck into some of these? That's the most important thing of this morning.
GB News, the People's Channel.
We got Dawn Neeson on the papers and Abby Hookway making her debut today. And that debut, Abby, you want to talk about Labour betrays voters with 8 more years of illegal migration. The story's in the Express and a few other papers as well.
Yeah, I just think it's absolutely utter ridiculous. We've just taken away the winter fuel allowance for our elderly, yet we're happy to pay $5 million a day for immigration and illegal immigration. Labour promised they would stop it.
You see, this government will make out we haven't got a pot to drink a bowl of soup out of or anything
It's a polite
else.
way,
Yes, in a polite way. But yet suddenly there's 500 million quid made available to accommodate illegal migrants.
I know, and I just think it's shocking to U-turn on their promise. They promised they'd sort it out. They're in. Now they're not going to.
What do you think, Dawn?
Well, it's Keir Starmer doing a flip-flop. Who'd have thought it? I mean, that never happened. I mean, just shocking, isn't it? I mean, it is ridiculous. We're treating the elderly in this country, as Abby's just pointed out, appallingly. That policy isn't even going to make the money they said they was going to make, like their non-dom policy as well. These aren't even political points. These are common sense points about the money. I mean, Abby, you're a businesswoman. You balance the books all the time. Yeah. These sums don't add up, do they, in any way, shape or form? So they're pointless.
I suppose on this illegal immigration story, you know, what's the alternative? How do you stop it overnight? They've been in 101 days. You know, you have to continue to do something. So we have to find the money. Otherwise, what they're going to be doing, cruising the streets, living the street, robbing people's houses. I mean, realistically, it's easy to say, you know, they said change and they haven't changed. It's been 101 days. So what are they not doing that you want to see them do?
I'd love them to take more swift action. We've got a huge housing crisis. Our NHS can't cope. We're bringing in...
But I think they want to do that too, don't they? I mean, obviously, it's costing them a fortune and losing a lot of political capital. It's just not an easily solvable problem. Otherwise, they'd have done it. I think it's very easy for all of us to say, stop the boats, sort it out.
It is smash the gangs, and we have already arrested, I think, that they went car washing and nail bars.
But show me a country that has sorted the problem.
Italy.
You know? Wow.
Italy have stopped the boats and they have Australia. But Italy recently have stopped the boats leaving by working with the countries they're coming from.
So they pay the countries they're coming from a lot of money.
Yeah, we do that with France. That doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
And Italy are also opening that offshore processing centre for migrants in Albania.
Now, Abby,
we had one of those.
You are a property expert and an entrepreneur, right? Are you worried about this budget in 2 weeks' time?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, like everybody. And I feel like this budget, it's funny because there's a story about investment and people wanting to invest in the UK. I think this budget's going to go either way. If they keep taxing high net worth, We've had 500,000 millionaires leave the UK. More millionaires are leaving every day. What are they taking? They're taking the money that can't be taxed. They're taking jobs. They're taking their businesses. I think this budget's either going to kill the UK or...
So they're not going to be so hard on people looking to come into the country and invest. That's fine. They get some sort of jobs in. But they will hit you hard if you have a job and you're earning.
I think it's just a typical Labour government, isn't it? Let's just tax everybody.
Capital gains tax, pensions. There's going to be all sorts of things that people are worried about here. Right.
Dawn, take us down under, because this is a story, isn't it? This
Isabel.
time next week, steady on you lot.
If you were on Strictly,
Stop
you'd be banned.
it, I
at
know.
this stage.
Listen, this time next week, they will be heading, won't they, off to Australia.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a bit of a snub about to happen.
Charles and Camilla start their 9-day visit on Friday, but on Monday they have, supposedly, they are going to be having a meeting with the 6 state premiers at reception in Canberra. Only the 6 state premiers can't be bothered to turn up to meet the King, coming up with various excuses from basically the dog ate my homework to I have an important meeting to attend. Where Charles is, 75, cancer treatment, this is going to be a hard job for him in any case. I don't care what you think about Charles and Camilla. It's just at least show some kind of respect just to another human being, whether you think or not. And ironically, this snub, because that's what it is, this snub comes after polling has shown that the Australian Republic, voting for an Australian Republic, has fallen to a lower level under King Charles than it did under Queen Elizabeth. Less Australians now think they should be a republic and are more supportive of the monarchy. So it's just
so those
pathetic.
politicians have no backbone, and you can guarantee they'd be rolling out the red carpet for all sorts of questionable people.
Yes.
But when the King comes...
No, it's just show some respect for a fellow human being who's down there doing a job. Whether he wants to go or not is neither here nor there. I'm sure he doesn't. It's a long flight. He's not feeling too good.
OK. Well, thank you both very much indeed. That's your first taster of what's there in the papers, guys. You're going to be back again in about 40 minutes' time, hopefully with a bit more time on that. But right now...
Well, it was raining cats and dogs first thing. It's going to be dry up north. Here's Amy Bakota with a more professional version of the weather forecast.
A nice bright morning will generate a lovely warm day, right through to the evening. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Rain across the southeast through this morning, but it will be clearing away. Remaining cloudy across the south, though, sunnier further north in this afternoon. So fairly wet and damp start to the day for the southern half of the UK. Rain will slowly and steadily move eastwards and it will turn drier by the time we head into the early afternoon, although some rain will linger on the North Sea coast as well. Further north, though, Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, drier and brighter through the afternoon. Temperatures milder into the double figures. And again, milder across the south, but feeling probably still fairly cool underneath that cloud that will be quite stubborn through the afternoon as well. Into the evening, then, we've got rain across Orkney and Shetland lingering on, and those winds again strengthening from that southerly direction. Drier and clearer across eastern parts through the evening, and parts of Northern Ireland, again, largely staying dry. Just a few cloudy spells as we head through this evening. But from northern England, Wales and further south, it will still be quite a cloudy evening through Monday as well, and lingering on in towards this evening. Overnight, that cloud is going to remain, is going to thicken, heading in towards the early hours of Tuesday. And this southerly wind is going to strengthen overnight as well. We can start to see with these wind arrows, it's strengthening as we head in towards Tuesday morning. So with the cloud and with those strengthening winds, fairly mild across the south, a few spots into single figures across the far north, but generally it'll be a milder, cloudier start to Tuesday. Through the rest of Tuesday then, so quite a cloudy picture apart from the very far north of Scotland, but notice that strong southerly wind. It will be noticeably breezier through Tuesday, and particularly over high ground and parts of Scotland as well. Heavy showers beginning to push into perhaps parts of Northern Ireland later, and it'll be fairly mild, but in that breeze it probably still will be feeling fairly cool.
We can expect clear skies, leading to a light and warm day ahead. Lovely. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The latest GB News travel.
Hello, good morning. I'm Andy Hilbert with the latest on the roads across the UK from Monday morning. In Buckinghamshire, heavy traffic on the clockwise M25. There was briefly an accident which shut a couple of lanes. All lanes are now open though, but it is slow. That's just after junction 16 for the M40. In Gloucestershire, the northbound M5, all lanes are now open after the broken down vehicle. Junction 14 at Thornbury to junction 13 at Stroud. And in Somerset, the northbound M5, a lane closed there due to an accident. 20 for Clevedon to 19 at Portishead. And in West Yorkshire, the M62 eastbound, a lane closed there due to a broken down vehicle. 25 at Brighouse to 26 at Chamber. And in London, in Wimbledon Hill Road is currently closed due to emergency repairs. That's going to affect you from Ridgeway round to Woodside. And in the West Midlands, busy on the M6 South around junction 8 for the M5 this morning, coming from the M54. Usual Monday morning traffic there at the moment. You're up to date.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
There's only 2 weeks.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Good morning. Police in America foil a potential third assassination attempt against Donald Trump.
A man's released on bail. He was arrested outside a Trump rally in California, carrying weapons and multiple fake identity documents.
The 49-year-old in question denies wanting to hurt the former president, as the police claim he belongs to the far-right group Sovereign Citizens.
Elsewhere, business leaders warn the government taxing jobs would threaten employment and damage investment ahead of the autumn budget.
10 more years of small boats. The Home Office sets aside £500 million to manage 2 migrant centres in a bid to curb illegal immigration.
With the Met Office warning a wet winter is going to happen, we'll be looking at how prepared Britain is to deal with torrential rain and flood safety in this Flood Safety Awareness Week.
As graduate salaries fall, we're asking if degrees are actually a waste of money.
And in the sport, we've still got no idea whether Lee Carsley wants the England manager's job or not after a 3-1 win against the Finns in Helsinki. In sailing, couldn't be a worse start for Sir Ben Ainsley's Ineos Britannia against the New Zealanders. And it may be banned from some schools, but the World Conquer Championships have taken place.
Rain clearing to the east through this morning, but will you see sunshine by this afternoon? Find out more with me later.
Hello there, very good morning to you. Almost Monday morning. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Isabel Webster, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Just reminded me there of Conquer. So the World Championships have happened.
Yeah.
This is, without doubt, as a child, my favourite time of the year. Absolutely beautiful. I'm just surprised that, given everybody's predilections now towards nature and protecting nature, that you're still allowed to pick up conkers and open them and take these trees.
They are deposited by each tree in their
And they fall, don't they?
Yeah.
So it's not like you're taking them
Mining
from the tree, opening them up. It's nothing like, it's like they open up, beautiful, conker,
shiny,
lovely.
gorgeous.
It is a beautiful thing, but is it not supposed to grow then in the ground? Is that not what you're supposed to do with them?
Do you plant a conker? No, no, how long? It's going to take 50 years for a tree to grow.
I would agree.
My dad planted a conker when I was born.
No.
On the way to the hospital, he picked up a conker. When he got home, he planted it in the garden and, of course,
That's amazing.
Really?
Well, it's incredible what they can do in 56 years.
How big is the tree?
Well, we moved house.
So we have absolutely no idea. It's a lovely thought. I didn't think of taking the tree. But the thing is, the World Conker Championships, there's certain rules about it. Because you remember, you never used to bake your conkers, did you?
Yes.
Did you used to bake your conkers?
I didn't like playing them at all because it would just hit your knuckles.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's why I think schools have banned them. I mean, for crying out loud. Yes. You've got to play conkers at school, haven't you? Put the lace through it.
Yeah, but not only that, then we had the toy, the clackers.
Yeah, those were the ones that used to go like that.
No idea. You've lost me on that one.
Balls. These were sort of balls on the end of string.
Oh, what, bigger than a conker?
Oh, yeah. Yes, but as hard. And I don't know what you did with a clacker, but...
you used to play with your clackers.
Whacked a clacker.
You clacked a clacker.
You whacked it.
Have you whacked a clacker? There were two...
We digress.
Two balls that hang down.
Oh, dear. All right, I think we're going to swiftly move on. Yeah, we'll see you shortly.
OK. The Shadow Secretary of State for Science, Innovation and Technology is Andrew Griffin. And, we wouldn't have been talking a load of conkers there if we had known. He's there, and the science of all that, Andrew, the science of all of that. Right, so... we go in now to this state of play where it looks like everybody's going to start talking about the budget and what's in store from Labour. What are your worst fears?
Well, my worst fears are that this government really doesn't understand business. So they're hosting an investment summit, but it's much more about how you create a business environment. So we left the economy in decent shape. It was our government that made the UK a science and technology superpower. They're 100 days in, and what we're hearing about is a tax on jobs, which would break their manifesto promise. Last week, we had this whole slew of workers' rights, which means you can turn up for work on a Monday morning and then take your employer to an employment tribunal in the afternoon. And now the Chancellor, ahead of the budget, we're hearing is going to fiddle the definition of debt so they can go on a spending splurge. So for business, not all that great, to be honest.
I suppose drill into what exactly you're saying there, because we've got Labour coming on later on, and they will claim that this is not a breach of their manifesto. They never said they wouldn't increase national insurance for employers, which is what they're, over the weekend...
They didn't say they would.
They didn't say they would.
The inference was that there wouldn't be an increase because we're all going to have to pay for that.
It's possibly a moot point, and you probably won't agree. But I suppose the question is, does it make sense to do it? And, what will this raise in terms of revenue for the Treasury, and could it be worth doing? And what would it mean for business, in your opinion?
Well, it's another body blow for business. So you're right, you're put to them. And, now we're hearing all the small print that they never said during the election. They made a very clear commitment that they wouldn't put tax on work, and absolutely national insurance for business is a tax on work. But it just comes across a whole slew of things that they've been doing. Many more, pieces of red tape on business around employment law, reversing some of the things that have made strikes harder over the years, so that you have to have a majority of workers actually supporting the strike. They're trying to row back on that. And the big one, of course, is the budget. So there's no point welcoming hundreds of businesses as our government did to the United Kingdom to get them to invest. Any investment from overseas investment is welcome, but they're not going to do that if you then go and put up taxes on capital, taxes on people that invest here but don't live here, and try and raise more money overall in the budget. So you've got to create a proper environment. And one of the challenges is this government just doesn't understand business. I don't think there's a single member of the cabinet now that's actually had a career in business.
Well, they're no different than your lot were last time round, which is kid gloves as regards the Amazons and all these big companies like this. Everything's good for that. And yet then the workers, the grafters, we are the ones who are hit and hit hard. And that's the way it's going to be yet again.
Well, I don't agree with that. I mean, we had to put up taxes to cover the cost of COVID, and we all understand that. But Conservative governments lower taxes. We lifted millions of people out of tax by raising the minimum income tax threshold. And it's really important, Eamonn, if you're going to try and grow the economy, which I agree, all governments talk about growing the economy, don't they? But if you're going to grow the economy, you've actually got to walk the walk. It's not just about hosting a big fancy conference, giving them a few canapes. You've actually got to create an economy that businesses want to come here and invest, and that people want to set up small businesses themselves. There's an awful lot of red tape that gets in the way. Our government understand that. This government, 100 days in, all we've seen from them are plans to tax more and spend other people's money.
Well, that being said, this international investment summit today is expected to raise tens of millions and billions of pounds of investment, which is absolutely central to the government's plan to create jobs for the future and to improve the economy. So, it's very easy to say that they are not the friend of business, but it looks like they will attract quite a lot of investment today.
Well, let's look at the small print. I organised or helped to organise 2 of these summits. And the important thing is that the capital actually follows through after the event. What we've seen is in recent weeks, the government has re-announced investments that we'd already secured, commitments to come here. Now, that's all welcome. We want that business here. We want those investors. We want to support them. Only on Friday, the Prime Minister was scrabbling around to try and persuade one of these businesses to turn up and follow through on that investment after his own Transport Secretary tried to attack that business. So, as I say, you've got to walk the walk. There's nothing wrong with governments seeking to attract international investors. But if you do that, then don't immediately clobber them in the budget, because I promise you, what you will see today are commitments to invest here in the future. And in the small print, it will talk about having the right regulatory environment and having the right tax environment for the UK. Now, in a way, they've put the cart before the horse, because really we need to see the budget. We need to see if they're going to follow through on all of these ideas that don't add up, right? Even the winter fuel, it looks like they're going to take this away from millions of pensioners, and it may end up costing money. The non-dom tax, the increasing capital gains tax,
but Andrew,
all of these things look like they're going to cost the chance to not raise money.
Andrew, was the Transport Secretary right in talking about employment practices with P&O, who's an offshoot of one of the big companies that you're talking about there? Was she right to attack them? Because when we all look at how they hire and fire people, we would have thought, well, that's a wrong thing to do.
The Conservatives condemned it, didn't you? So you can't criticise her for that.
No, but the rule change has happened. What you can't do is speak with forked tongue or outside of both sides of your mouth. It's right that you have employment laws to protect workers. That's always been something that we've had in the UK. But it's completely wrong that and the Prime Minister and Number 10 agree, because they then slapped down the Transport Secretary and said she was not speaking for the government. The point is that they're at 6s and 7s. The only person who's been a recent victim of fire and rehire is Sue Gray, who seems to have been disappeared, and she's not probably around today either.
Before we say goodbye to you, it's been very entertaining talking to you today, but I'm admiring your portrait behind you there. I don't know what it is, but it's giving me a chance to talk about what's going on in Downing Street, where Keir Starmer's taken 2 paintings off the wall. One of Elizabeth I
and Sir Walter Raleigh. This follows on from taking Maggie down.
And replace them with a Portuguese artist's work on feminism. Should you have an observation on that?
Well, look, we should be proud of our history, Eamonn, and of course, not all of our history, not every single episode will always stand up through the light of today. But in general, our broad arc of history, including the fantastic work that Britain did to rid the world of slavery. We were one of the nations that started that, and many historical figures in Britain lost their lives as a result of trying to police and suppress slavery. So no, I don't agree with that. What you're seeing behind me is Arundel Castle itself is part of our history. It's part of the constituency I'm proud to represent. But nations try and erase or edit their history at their folly. By all means, teach about our history, teach it properly in the round, what we've got to be extremely proud of.
Good man. Good talking to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there. Thank you.
Andrew Griffiths, Shadow Secretary of State for Science, Innovation and Tech, and speaking to us from Arundel, which I have to say, have you been?
Arundel?
Yes. Big castle on a hill, it's got a beautiful lake. I got confirmed there.
Where's Arundel?
It's a big diocesan cathedral there for our diocese.
North-east?
No, Sussex, right down on the coast near Littlehampton.
Well, I haven't been there.
Oh, you've got to go. It's gorgeous.
No.
I got confirmed there, Eamonn.
You got
really
confirmed
beautiful.
there?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, the cathedral there.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. Staying in politics, you can watch Robert Jenrick and Kemi Badenoch battle it out for the Conservative leadership in a special live event right here on GB News. That's next Thursday, the 17th of October. And that should be fascinating because things are really heating up in that leadership contest.
Gosh. Let's talk about this potential third assassination attempt on Donald Trump. It was reportedly thwarted on Saturday night.
Yes, local police arrested an armed man carrying multiple weapons and fake passports as he attempted to get into a Trump rally in California.
He's 49 years of age. He's from Las Vegas. His name's Vern Miller, but he's denied wanting to hurt President Trump after being released on bail.
This comes as the local county sheriff said that the man in question was likely to be a sovereign citizen, which is somebody who does not believe in government and government control.
OK, Peter Blexley, former Scotland Yard detective. Let's get his take on this. Peter, the thing that gets me now, it just unfortunately appears that every time Donald Trump is in public, he's going to be a target now.
Oh, most definitely. And we've seen that from the two previous plots. One, of course, which led to Donald Trump being injured as he was shot. Fortunately, that would-be assassin was killed. And then just a few weeks later, as he's playing golf on his golf course, another person sticks the barrel of a weapon through the fence. And, of course, that man is also in custody awaiting trial. There appears to be some confusion and some differing voices with regards to this arrest at the weekend, insomuch as that the sheriff was very quick to say this is an assassination plot, and later on the FBI said that in fact it wasn't. What I suspect lies at the heart of this arrest was whether law enforcement were able to prove the man's intentions, and when that's not clear, you tend to see lesser charges being brought, which is exactly what's happened here.
So his intentions, he arrives at a Trump rally, a man for whom there has been assassination attempts on before. He's got firearms, he's got fake documents as well.
He's just going out for a Sunday drive.
And I think, fine, I'm just starting for the afternoon.
We'll bail him.
What do you make of what went on there?
Yeah, and a registration plate, which apparently was manufactured at home, that was on his vehicle. So you would say there's an awful lot of factors here that would tend to suggest that perhaps this man's intentions were not good. But because he was only charged with two lesser, what they call misdemeanor offences out there, he was bailed. And he subsequently went to the media and gave a statement whereby he said he was a supporter of Donald Trump and he had absolutely no intentions whatsoever to harm him. I make no further comment upon that. But so often, with a whole raft of criminal offences, it is for the police to prove somebody's intentions. And if they can't do that, then quite often, regrettably, people are charged with lesser offences.
Yeah. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
We're going to get a quick look at the weather because if you peep outside, it's probably going to be wet. Let's have a look.
Despite the morning rain, it'll be a nice, warm, cosy day ahead. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Rain across the southeast through this morning, but it will be clearing away. Remaining cloudy across the south, though, sunnier further north in this afternoon. So fairly wet and damp start to the day for the southern half of the UK. Rain will slowly and steadily move eastwards and it will turn drier by the time we head into the early afternoon, although some rain will linger on the North Sea coast as well. Further north though, Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, drier and brighter through the afternoon. Temperatures milder into the double figures. And again, milder across the south, but feeling probably still fairly cool underneath that cloud that will be quite stubborn through the afternoon as well. Into the evening, then, we've got rain across Orkney and Shetland lingering on, and those winds again strengthening from that southerly direction. Drier and clearer across eastern parts through the evening, and parts of Northern Ireland, again, largely staying dry. Just a few cloudy spells as we head through this evening. But from northern England, Wales and further south, it will still be quite a cloudy evening through Monday as well, and lingering on in towards this evening. Overnight, that cloud is going to remain, is going to thicken, heading in towards the early hours of Tuesday. And this southerly wind is going to strengthen overnight as well. We can start to see with these wind arrows, it's strengthening as we head in towards Tuesday morning. So with the cloud and with those strengthening winds, fairly mild across the south, a few spots into single figures across the far north, but generally it'll be a milder, cloudier start to Tuesday. Through the rest of Tuesday then, so quite a cloudy picture apart from the very far north of Scotland, but notice that strong southerly wind. It will be noticeably breezier through Tuesday, and particularly over high ground and parts of Scotland as well. Heavy showers beginning to push into perhaps parts of Northern Ireland later, and it'll be fairly mild, but in that breeze it probably still will be feeling fairly cool.
Woo! A chilly start will give way to a lovely warm afternoon. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Right, well, if the weather is not cheering you up, £36,000... What am I trying to say? £36,000 of cash in the Great British Giveaway might do just the thing.
2 weeks remain to get your entry in. Here's how you do it.
There's only 2...
Good. Still to come as graduate salaries fall. We'll be asking, what's the point? But the university is really worthwhile. That's next.
Why go out on a Friday night when Friday night comes straight to your home?
Talking about?
Join me and my A-team of top pundits. Chemistry tonight is electric. As we tackle the big stories of the day with wit, insight and fearless energy.
Man of the people.
It's all vibe. Just a filing cabinet on wheels with a tie on.
So, order in Friday Night Live with me, Mark Dolan, every Friday at 8, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Will, please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Nightmare commute? Kick it up a gear with GB News Radio. You can listen online and on DAB+ and on the GB News app. We're also on TuneIn and the Radio Player apps. From the school run to rush hour, get revved up with GB News Radio. We are the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent? I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect. And then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Conservative MPs have finally chosen their top 2 for the leadership. And now, it's over to the members. Join me, Christopher Hope, on Thursday as Kevin Badenoch and Robert Jenrick are quizzed by Conservative Party members and myself at our GB News leadership event.
And afterwards, join me, Patrick Christys, with a live studio audience and a star panel as we discuss what it means for the Conservative Party and what it means for you. Decision time, the race to lead, from 7 p.m. this Thursday, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Right, according to new reports, postgraduate salaries have fallen, calling into question whether universities are worth the money they cost.
Well, this comes as it's been revealed that some vice-chancellors at top universities have earned around £1 million in expenses over the past 2 years.
Well, with all
£1 million. I'm trying to think, what would you...
Yeah, hotel bills and expensive wine.
It's a lot of expensive wine.
Living the high life while all these students are saddled with enormous debt.
Gosh, £500,000 a year.
Oh, dear,
okay.
Yeah. Well, with all of this in mind, we're asking this morning, and it is our talking point, so please let us know what you think. Are university degrees a waste of money?
Joined now by former Apprentice star Ryan Mark Parsons and political consultant Emma Burnell. So, Emma, you don't think they're a waste of money. Defend that for me.
Well, it depends entirely on who you are and what you want to do, what you want to get out of going to university. I think the problem is that we look at this in a purely utilitarian, I will earn X and therefore I must get this degree or what have you. But for most of us, university is a much broader experience than simply the job that you might get coming out the other end. I can certainly say that my undergraduate degree and even my master's degree, which I did in my 40s, they haven't been a specific career path degree. But I got so much more out of doing them, and I'm very, very glad I did. That doesn't mean it's right for everybody. And I think that what it is important to do is not simply say, will I get the right job at the end of this? But is this the right thing for me to do at this point in my life in this way? And I think that's a much broader question than simply the cost to benefit factor.
Well, Ryan Mark Parsons, what do you make of that? I mean, presumably you don't think it was the right thing for you, but what about more broadly? Do you think that it's still worth its money, the cost?
Well, I didn't go to university, and I've had a very great life so far in work and socially. And I think if the motivating factor to attend university is to have a social life, I mean, there's plenty of opportunities to do that through work, and you can also join clubs and societies that are free. And I have to emphasise the cost of university for a 3-year undergraduate course is about £30,000 in total. And then about 83% of graduates don't actually end up paying back their student debt. So it tends to be a negative investment in time and money. And I also look at the median salaries, because that is important. Obviously, you go to university to ideally get a job, and then you invest the money in the tuition to get a better job. If you look at creative arts graduates, after 5 years following the completion of their degree, they're earning only about £20,000 on average. But if you look at alternatives like apprenticeships, after 5 years of completing an apprenticeship, their median salary is about £35,000. So I would recommend and encourage people to open their eyes to other opportunities where they can actually be earning straight away in an apprenticeship, won't be saddled to a student debt, and can actually be earning more money than a lot of graduates.
The system, Ryan, is geared to assessing people almost purely on tertiary education, their third level education, and if they have had it or not.
Well, I think that perception needs to change, and I think slowly it will. And I think that will also arise out of the fact that 49% of young people are attending university. The job market is incredibly saturated with graduates. And I think people that are considering alternative courses actually in turn then stand out from their competitors, other young people applying for jobs where they've considered other routes of education. And by virtue of that, they actually do then become unique candidates. Yeah. And I think that's something that people should consider as well, especially because half of the population of young people pretty much have attended university.
Yeah, I suppose there is that debate, isn't it, about earning while you learn and doing those apprenticeships. But Emma, I come back to the traditional view that a lot of people, have kind of forgotten about, which is a lot of people shouldn't be going to university thinking about the job that they get, but for the the joy of learning to the highest possible level, for the creative and the artistic, whatever the subject is, for that reason. But I suppose that's a bit outdated, isn't it? I mean, I was speaking to our producer as I was driving in this morning. She said she pays £700 a month towards her student debt. She's in her mid-30s. That's more than she spends on her accommodation. That doesn't include any of her bills and her food. That is a huge chunk of her income that is going back to her degree that she earned years ago.
I mean, I think we absolutely need to restructure the way that we deal with paying for university. There is a real problem with the system as it stands, particularly the interest rates that were whacked on to what were originally very low-cost loans. I think there are two things there that you said that I think I would really like to pick up on. First of all, university is not simply a pipeline to a job.
Totally
it's not
agree.
a step you take in order to go into a career. It's so much broader than that. And also, right, it's not simply about the social life, although I had a fabulous time at university, don't get me wrong. But it's, there's so much broader things that you get from learning. When I did my degree, I did a dual honours degree. So I learned both sociology and English, and I learned how those two interacted. I did a really broad range of subjects. There were some courses, the set courses, if I'm honest, that I was less interested in. But on the other hand, I now know a lot more about the Romantic poets than I ever thought I would.
Okay.
That knowledge, you never know where it's gonna where it's gonna
But what do you pay for it? That is the question. Guys, really appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed for your contribution and getting people to think about things there. And maybe you're a graduate of the University of Life. If you are, let us know what life has taught you
Maybe you're
so
a
far.
parent that's just waved your children off to university and you're thinking, finally, I don't have to pay for my kids anymore. And then you think, I've got to help them out with this. It is eye-wateringly expensive now.
Yeah, but I think it's politicians and businesses that have made it that way because therefore they justify, because university is a business now as well. It's a massive business for many towns and cities around the country as well. Let us know your views. Back after this, Paul's got Conkers. Yeah.
Conkers.
The latest GB News travel.
Hello, good morning. I'm Andy Hilbert with the latest on the roads across the UK for a Monday morning. In Buckinghamshire, the clockwise M25 now clear. There was an accident there just after junction 16 for the M40. In Hampshire, the northbound M3, a lane closed on the exit slip road due to an accident at junction 6 for Basingstoke. And also in Hampshire on the northbound M3, a lane closed due to an accident junction 12 at Eastleigh to junction 11 for Winchester South. In Somerset, the northbound M5, all lanes are now open after that earlier accident, junction 20 at Clevedon to junction 19 at Portishead. And in West Yorkshire, the eastbound M62, one lane closed there at the moment due to a broken down vehicle. That's junction 25 at Brighouse to junction 26 at Chamber. And also in London, in Wimbledon Hill Road remains closed for emergency repairs this Monday morning. That's going to affect you between Ridgeway and Woodside, of course, so just be aware of that this morning. That's the latest. You're up to date.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent? I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mark Dolan tonight is your weekend dose of news, debate and entertainment. This sounds like a wild conspiracy theory. Don't miss My Big Opinion. Mark meets at My Take at 10. Democracy is a funny old thing. And we don't do boring, not on my watch. I just won't have it. Let's go and get another glass of that bubbly. You've earned it. That's Mark Dolan tonight, Saturday and Sunday, 9 to 11, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to State of the Nation, daily plunge into the stories shaping our country. I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and Monday to Thursday we bring you the insights, the facts, the truth about how our country is being governed. Because what happens in Downing Street matters down your street. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're sitting working out what Lee Carsley's done as head of England, the England manager. Is it 1 loss, 1 win?
No, three wins, 1 loss. Because this is his second batch. Because being the interim manager of England, he's been given 6 matches.
Right.
So this is the qualification for the Nations League. So he's already won 2, then lost to Greece. That was when he did this new formation. And then it was slightly more conservative. It wasn't great, but it was OK. But then the win away at Finland in Helsinki yesterday. So now there's 2 more games to go. And then, obviously, the decision's going to be made by the FA, whether he sticks around or whether he doesn't.
Do you think he's seriously in the running?
I think he's got to be in the running. I don't see why he isn't. He probably thinks he is. He keeps giving kind of clues. One minute you think, yes, he wants the job because he's saying, I'm not used to losing. And he says this quite a lot. I'm not used to losing because he looked after the England under-21s. They're very successful and have been very good. I'm not used to losing. I'm not very happy with that. So is that him saying, I don't lose as a manager. I think I should get the job. But then he also says, we need a world-class manager. And so we just don't know where we stand with him. Well, I think he wants the job. You'd be a fool to say no, wouldn't you?
It was a good away win yesterday.
It was, yeah. So that was good enough. Now, also, which is going on in Barcelona at the moment, is the America's Cup. We've talked about this a fair bit, haven't we? This is the sailing which is going on. It's now Britannia. So it's Ben Ainsley's Ineos Britannia is going against New Zealand. And we've not won the America's Cup ever. 156 years. We've never won it. And also a lot of it was just when it was Britain and America. We still couldn't win it, even around the Isle of Wight. So anyway, there's all the fans, and look, there we are, Jim Radcliffe there, who's financing the whole thing. It's not going well. So it's the first to 7, and already Britain are 3-0 down.
Yeah.
And because of low wins, they didn't actually get to race the last one. But Ben Ainsley he got really upset by a New Zealand commentator. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, he was effing and blinding, wasn't he?
We've got it. Do you want to see it? I think with the effing and jeffing we may get rid of.
Oh, right,
But anyway, he was interviewed by a New Zealand commentator, and Ben Ainsley, he took umbrage.
Oh, dear.
Have a look, see what you think.
Still believing that you're as close when it comes to performance, because I get that feeling coming off your boat.
Well, maybe that's the Kiwi commentator in you, mate.
OK, I'll take that one on the chin. Thanks, buddy.
And then he goes,
Oh, well, he thought the interview had finished.
You thought the interview.
Oh, OK. It wasn't like he directed
it
at him.
No, he was. Well,
but for the grace of God.
It was about him, but it wasn't so much at him. Right, you want to do a birthday? So
we want to do.
Oh, can do both quick.
Yeah, Conkers World Championship happened yesterday. Happens every year, just outside Peterborough, and hundreds of people come along. And there's certain rules when you play Conkers. Obviously, there we are. He's called Mr. Conker, that fella, and there's a slightly older Conker. He's
the Chelsea
Conker's a little lower there. There we are. There he is. But there we are, and there's rules about it. You just get to strike 3 times, and also when you get sometimes the laces.
It's William the Conqueror.
Very good. Look at that. I love that hat though.
Super.
Very nice. So anyway, but sometimes when the laces get caught, you get disqualified if that happens 3 times. But anyway, it all happened yesterday.
OK. Now, birthdays.
Who's the first one? Have a look at. Let's have the first one. Who is it? How old are they today? Oh, look, there you go.
Oh, it's what's his name?
Yes, what's his name? That's him. What's his name?
Letizia.
That fella. Letizia. Matt Letizia. Southampton in England. How old is Matt Letizia today?
57?
Please. 57 from Isabel.
Oh,
I think it's...
On the money? Could be.
Could be.
Look at me.
You're in the ballpark.
You're in the ballpark. I'm in the Conker Park.
What do you reckon?
I'll say 55.
56.
Oh, we draw. 56. OK. One more. We've got time for one more.
Oh, one more. I got 2 coming then. One more. Who is this? Steve Cram.
Steve Cram. Yeah.
That looks like a long time ago.
How old is Steve Cram today now when I find his commentators?
Oh.
I would say...
56.
No, he'd be in his 60s now.
Yes, he is in his 60s, Isabel.
Yeah,
I'll let you
62.
Go again. 62, Isabel.
I can't go again. I said 56. I've had
I'm the judge, so you can go again.
60.
64.
Ugh.
60.
Okay, you win, Eamonn.
We've got time for the last one. We've got time for that.
Go on.
Come on. It's a great tennis player. Who is he? One of the greatest tennis players. It's not Djokovic. I think he's retired. It's Cliff. It's Sir Cliff
Crikey,
Richard.
I never knew he had the thighs on him.
Today?
Gosh,
be careful
old
now,
isn't
Isabel.
he? 80? 3?
Phew.
I think he's old.
Yeah, I would say he's... Oh, that's a difficult one.
It is a tricky one. He's the Prince of Pop. He looks so young, that's why.
Prince of
Or maybe
Pop.
he's older. Maybe he's 88.
No.
88 for Cliff?
OK, that's harsh.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
It just seems an
I'll say,
old chap
I'll
to
say
me.
80, but
Okay.
he certainly doesn't look
I'll
it.
go 83. Stick with it.
84.
Oh, OK, so we've levelled out.
84. It was I thought that was a particularly good game.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're
Let's see what you could have won.
on a summer
Wouldn't that be
holiday.
nice?
No more working for a week or two.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, fun and laughter on a summer holiday. Please don't stop phoning in and asking me to sing because obviously we haven't got time.
I want to know what this was, Paul.
That was Cliff's signature move.
Oh, right.
You go, I'm a devil woman. You know,
With evil on her mind.
Oh, my
Right, talking about the
I think it's
devil
time for a
woman.
break.
Is believing in God, is the same belief you have for God the same belief you have in supporting a football team? Find out after this.
I'm Arlene Foster on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Nightmare commute? Kick it up a gear with GB News Radio. You can listen online and on DAB+ and on the GB News app. We're also on TuneIn and the Radio Player apps. From the school run to rush hour, get revved up with GB News Radio. We are the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
National Trust Director General has said something rather curious. She's admitted that 70% of the charity's staff are Union Jack-hating progressive activists. Yes, this was speaking at a Labour Party fringe event. The boss of the charity, Hilary McGrady, acknowledged that there was a gap between her staff's views and the views held by the wider public. So was she being honest? Joining me now to discuss this is historian and broadcaster Rafe Hadel-Mankoo, who I believe is with me. Rafe, thank you very much indeed. Can this be true?
The founders of the National Trust and later figures involved in it, like my hero James Lees Milne, were really motivated by love of nation. But I think that love of nation in the Trust has become actively, national self-loathing. And that's really the state of modern Britain. And with the Trust, I mean, what we've done is we've actually entrusted our national heritage to those people who actually actively despise our national heritage. And it's, it's utter madness.
Have these people wanted to take over charities like the National Trust for their political ends, or is it just something that happens? Is it just the type of people who work in charities?
This has been part of the long march through the institutions, that people need to understand that Britain is now a post-revolutionary society. So the buildings that house our institutions look the same, but the people who now run them bear no comparison to the generations who lovingly built and ran them. They are cuckoos in the nest, and we need to understand that. And of course, once you realize that, of course, that explains completely why, the National Trust and others have crudely tried to denigrate our national heroes and link them and their houses to colonialism and slavery, as they ludicrously tried to do.
GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now, before the break, we were talking about university degrees and the debt that they land you with and are they worth it or not. Billy, what does Billy say?
Billy says if there were a degree in common sense, that would be quite useful. When Blair told us that university was the way forward, we witnessed the decline of British industry as manual labour jobs and apprenticeships fell by the wayside. As a result, we now face a significant skills gap, not to mention this influx of people trying to prop up our universities because they are an absolute catastrophe financially.
Of us around the table, it may be quite obvious, but Isabel is the only one with a university degree. And what do you think of what Billy's had to say there?
I think it's right. I think a degree nowadays, what does it get you? It gets you just a 9-to-5 job, doesn't it? You come out of university after spending 4 years, 45 grand in debt. You know, I dropped out of uni and I went on to be successful anyway. I don't think you need it nowadays.
I definitely think as a parent, I look at the cost of it and I'm sort of will be looking at my children very closely to see if I'll just see what they're like. If they're bright and academic, then I would say, why not push yourself, test yourself?
But the thing is, I mean, I hear what Isabel's saying there, but as a father of 4 children, I look and I think, but if they haven't got degrees, who's going to employ them?
This is the problem you've got, where it's so drummed into society now that if you don't have a degree, you're not worthy in some way, which is doing down mostly the working class jobs. I mean, sort of like, you know, some of the wealthiest people I know are builders who sort of like run electricians who run their own businesses, never went to university. I mean, they're not paying off thousands of pounds worth of debt for the rest of their life.
That being said, my husband sees a lot of CVs as part of his job in finance, and he says he's increasingly looking at people that haven't come through the traditional path, have gone straight from school and have basically got to the same level as these kids coming out of university and thought, well, to be honest, it's a toss-up between the two, which is a real change from 5 years ago.
Things are changing that way, because when I was editing the newspaper, I would always give people who didn't go to university, who had started literally making the tea, a chance, and 9 times out of 10 they were the better reporters.
Is that because someone gave you the chance?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, you're right, it is. But I mean, when I
still started out making tea, and I went to university and got a postgraduate diploma. So.
I mean, the thing is, but I mean, it's when I went to school, my generation, there were only, I think, 2 girls from my school who went to university. Now it would be the other way round. There'd be only 2 girls who don't go to university.
OK, well, that's just our contribution to that little debate. And that is Dawn Neeson. I was going to say our veteran presenter. What's a nicer word than vet? Well, you know, our experience.
Regular, friend of the programme.
Stick with old bag like you normally do, Eamonn.
And this is Abby Hookway, who's a property expert and an entrepreneur. And she's from Yorkshire. And
she's a Man United fan, so Eamonn's delighted. Let's be honest.
She's making her debut today, so it's lovely to have you here. Dawn, Adrian Childs, former football commentator or presenter. He believes, and big West Bromwich Albion supporter, he believes that believing in God is the same belief that you need to be a football fan.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. It's an interview he's given, and he converted to Catholicism in 2007. And he says the type of person you have to be to believe in God is the same faith as you need to be a team supporter. You don't have to prove that God exists to be a believer. Like, you don't have to prove that your team is brilliant to be a supporter. And they will always, you know, there are always chances that they will let you down. It's incredibly frustrating being a football fan. Same as sort of like religion can be incredibly frustrating as well. So he's comparing the two things, and he says it's like my love for him talking, my love and loyalty to West Brom is the same as relationship with God and with my elderly mum. You know, I love them all to bits, but they get on my nerves most of the time.
It's very, very interesting. I mean, I remember in the 80s, church attendance in Belfast, massive. Everybody would go to church. Protestant, Catholic, whatever, that was the main thing. Then the Premier League came along, live football on the television, and I can tell you seriously that seriously has affected. I mean, our local church has closed down, and I never thought I would ever see the day that would happen. And that is now men in particular, and you know, maybe more than men, choose to watch football, or that is their religion, go away for the weekend to Manchester or Leeds or wherever it happens to be, than go to church.
Yeah, it's a bit like a cult, isn't it?
Yeah.
Football supporters.
Definitely, yeah.
Or a tribe, I guess. I suppose another way of looking at it, you know, where the religion is about tribalism. I mean, personally, I don't know. I'm not a football fan, so I'm not qualified.
I honestly would say, and I don't know, Dawn, what your view is, but I would say, you know, Manchester United is my religion.
Yes.
It is now. I mean, I can feel it totally. I know absolutely where I stand with Man United. What way do you feel with West Ham?
Exactly the same with West Ham. And it's a religion, it's a family, it's a sense of belonging. It gives you, even when West Ham are playing badly, and we have been known to do that, it's a sense of, just belonging, of being together, of mutual support, which I think are all the things that religion can give you.
The opium of the masses is now football.
Yes, but I would also argue that
God help us.
Since shop opening hours have opened, that shopping is also
consumerism has replaced.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Abby, let's go to the Times. Front page of the Times today. There's a big investment conference today being held by the government, and they're saying in the Times, big money says the time is right to buy into Britain.
Yes, I am so excited about this, and I think it is time. And I'm not a Labour supporter, but I think Keir Starmer's doing really well here, bringing investment into the UK, and it is the right time. The only caveat to that, though, is what he's going to do in the budget, which could knock investment and support for UK.
Well, it's all very well, isn't it, getting these people to announce these huge billions today, which I'm sure they will, and they'll be very pleased about it. Whether or not that comes down the track, and I suppose, as you rightly point out, so much depending on how, business feels it's being penalised or singled out in the budget. And as we heard from the Conservative Party this morning, they're saying that there isn't a single person with a business experience or background in the cabinet. The total opposite of the Conservative government. Whether or not that was more successful, because obviously we've had lots of problems in the last 14 years, but I do think that is worrying for the business world, isn't it? Do these people know what they're talking about?
It is worrying, but I think because of our economy, because our housing market, I think the investors looking to invest in the UK will look past that. They'll see, but it does depend on what happens in this budget.
On that subject, the Transport Secretary, when she talked about P&O sacking people and she attacked them and said that she wouldn't travel P&O, I thought the obvious thing for a socialist MP to say, absolutely, and I think the moral thing for any government to do would be to support her in that. But she ain't going to be supported, is she?
No.
And your view is what?
Well, one of the biggest people, P&O, the owner, to come and invest in the UK, and then
so they can do what they want for £1 billion. They can do what they want. Yeah.
Well, that is going to be the challenge for the Labour government, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Being able to keep the unions happy and claiming and pretending to be a party of the workers, whilst also trying to look favourable to business. Do you turn away £1 billion of investment and all the jobs and growth that brings on the basis of your principles? And I suppose it goes to show, can you be a socialist government and a friend?
Can you, Dawn?
Yeah. Well, I think what P&O did in 2022 by firing 800 staff and replacing them with the cheaper foreign agency workers in the fire and rehire was appalling.
And condemned by the Conservatives, not just the Labour Party.
Absolutely not. No, it would be because you can't support that.
Yeah.
It was appalling what they did. However, we are where we are in this country at the moment, and we do need to attract investment. So for Louise Hay, the Transport Secretary, to bring that up just before this big conference...
But she didn't bring it up. That was brought up to her.
Well, I mean, they issued a statement. Now, the thing is with that statement that she issued, OK, she put it out there, along with Angela Rayner, who's the Deputy PM, and it was an official statement coming from Number 10. So for then her boss, Keir Starmer, to throw her under the bus for saying, this is not government policy, it's nothing to do with us, the statement literally came from Number 10. So
but my point is, why isn't it government policy from a socialist government? That's what they're there for, workers' rights.
Yeah, but they've also promised growth. I mean, as Isabel said...
And jobs.
Growth and jobs. I mean, it's a...
Where else is P&O, or whatever this company that owns P&O, where else are they going to go?
Well...
Where else?
America. I mean, I wouldn't put them past China at the moment, to be honest with you.
Not if they want to sail to France and Belgium and whatever and operate.
Well, there is that, yeah. I mean, absolutely, just get a dinghy. But the problem with this story is, as well, the Labour government are willing to get in bed, and this isn't political, by the way, but Labour, this is just a common sense policy. Labour are willing to get in bed with a Saudi Arabian company. That's who are owning it. But they're not talking to Elon Musk.
Well, I'm not clear whether Elon Musk has decided not to come or they've snubbed Elon Musk, and I'll try to get to the bottom of that. I know he's put out his tweets saying he wouldn't come, but was he invited? Or was he saying on his tweet...
He wasn't invited. Elon Musk actually made it clear that he was willing.
Let's find out from Labour if that's correct.
Well, exactly. It'd be interesting to get to the bottom of it. But Elon Musk, in theory, said that he was willing to come and was keen to invest in the UK. And I do wonder what Labour's problem with Elon Musk is, but not with Saudi Arabia.
They wouldn't extend the hand of friendship to Elon Musk. But, Abby, do you watch Strictly?
A little bit.
Right. Well, what do you make of this whole business here? Katja Jones appeared to
bat off the hand of friendship.
Yes, Wyn Evans here, that she didn't seem to like where his hand was going. What's your view on that?
It was cringe, wasn't it? I watched the footage and I was like, that is so cringy of her doing that. Something's definitely gone on behind the scenes.
Well, you're cringing at her doing that or at him? Because, I mean,
both.
He almost looks like a proud father rubbing the belly of his pregnant part. I mean, get your hand off her woman's stomach.
His hand went a bit far.
Do you know what I mean?
It's very strange.
It's very... the more I watch it...
Didn't look like a joke to me. It looked like she was genuinely uncomfortable.
Yes.
It was that
and he was pulling
smile
her
on her face. And then the apology they put out, that somehow compounded it, because it looked almost like a hostage video. It's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course, it was all fine. It was just a joke. And I'm thinking...
She can't stand him.
Do we have the apology there?
Nah.
No, we don't.
We'll play it a little bit later on, but that face, to me, as she turns, she can't stand him, which is a bit...
Yeah, it was like, get off me now.
Oh, she's like, you're not funny, you're getting on my nerves.
I mean, the thing that given all the trouble Strictly have had in the run-up to this series, this is just... They have to... No, it's Friends, it was all a
damage
joke.
limitations.
Exactly, but, I mean, I don't think anyone's believing it, are they?
Yeah, there we go. Guys, thank you very much indeed. We'll see you again in about 45 minutes' time. For the moment, Abby and Dom, thank you very much indeed. Let's get a weather update now, because it ain't too good out there. Here's Eamonn.
A nice bright morning will generate a lovely warm day, right through to the evening. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Rain across the southeast through this morning, but it will be clearing away. Remaining cloudy across the south, though, sunnier further north in this afternoon. So fairly wet and damp start to the day for the southern half of the UK. Rain will slowly and steadily move eastwards and it will turn drier by the time we head into the early afternoon, although some rain will linger on the North Sea coast as well. Further north, though, Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, drier and brighter through the afternoon. Temperatures milder into the double figures. And again, milder across the south, but feeling probably still fairly cool underneath that cloud that will be quite stubborn through the afternoon as well. Into the evening, then, we've got rain across Orkney and Shetland lingering on, and those winds again strengthening from that southerly direction. Drier and clearer across eastern parts through the evening, and parts of Northern Ireland, again, largely staying dry. Just a few cloudy spells as we head through this evening. But from northern England, Wales and further south, it will still be quite a cloudy evening through Monday as well, and lingering on in towards this evening. Overnight, that cloud is going to remain, is going to thicken, heading in towards the early hours of Tuesday. And this southerly wind is going to strengthen overnight as well. We can start to see with these wind arrows, it's strengthening as we head in towards Tuesday morning. So with the cloud and with those strengthening winds, fairly mild across the south, a few spots into single figures across the far north, but generally it'll be a milder, cloudier start to Tuesday. Through the rest of Tuesday then, so quite a cloudy picture apart from the very far north of Scotland, but notice that strong southerly wind. It will be noticeably breezier through Tuesday, and particularly over high ground and parts of Scotland as well. Heavy showers beginning to push into perhaps parts of Northern Ireland later, and it'll be fairly mild, but in that breeze it probably still will be feeling fairly cool.
We can expect clear skies, leading to a light and warm day ahead. Lovely. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The latest GB News travel.
Hello, good morning. I'm Andy Hilbert with the latest on the roads across the UK for a Monday morning. In Buckinghamshire, the clockwise M25 now clear. There was an accident there just after junction 16 for the M40. In Hampshire, the northbound M3, a lane closed on the exit slip road due to an accident at junction 6 for Basingstoke. And also in Hampshire on the northbound M3, a lane closed due to an accident junction 12 at Eastleigh to junction 11 for Winchester South. In Somerset, the northbound M5, all lanes are now open after that earlier accident, junction 20 at Clevedon to junction 19 at Portishead. And in West Yorkshire, the eastbound M62, one lane closed there at the moment due to a broken down vehicle. That's junction 25 at Brighouse to junction 26 at Chamber. And also in London, in Wimbledon Hill Road remains closed for emergency repairs this Monday morning. That's going to affect you between Ridgeway and Woodside, of course, so just be aware of that this morning. That's the latest. You're up to date.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website GBNews.com.
We love. I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
A very good morning to you. Police in America foil a potential third assassination attempt on Donald Trump.
A man's been released on bail after being arrested outside a Trump rally in California carrying weapons and multiple fake identity documents.
He's 49 years of age and he denies wanting to hurt the former president, as the police claim he belongs to the far-right group Sovereign Citizens.
Elsewhere, business leaders warn the government taxing jobs would threaten employment and damage investment ahead of the autumn budget.
10 more years of small boats. The Home Office sets aside $500 million to manage 2 migrant centres in a bid to curb illegal migration.
With the Met Office warning a wet winter is on the cards, we'll be looking at how prepared the UK is to deal with torrential rain on Flood Safety Awareness Week.
And in the sport, England managed to get past the Finns, and Lee Carsley wants the England manager's job, or doesn't he? We really have no idea at this point. In sailing, could be a worse start for Sir Ben Ainsley's Ineos Britannia against the New Zealanders, and maybe banned from some schools where the World Conquer Championships have taken place.
Rain clearing to the east through this morning, but will you see sunshine by this afternoon? Find out more with me later.
The time, just after 8 o'clock on this Monday morning. Good morning to you. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Isabel Webster, and this is GB News Breakfast.
So there we are, getting good reaction coming in from Conkers, reminding a lot of people of their youth, their childhood with all of this. My dad used to bring us walking in the woods for all these sort of things, and I'll always associate autumn with collecting.
Yeah, me too. I just like it. I just think it's something I don't see kids walking home from school playing Conkers. Your William, though, played, didn't he?
Yeah, my husband got his drill out and started fixing. That's not.
What was it?
And he fixed up the Conkers over the weekend. They had a big tournament.
Yeah, and how did it go?
William was pretty good.
And no problems with knuckles or anything?
Definitely a lot of kickback or whatever the technical term is, but not in the eyes.
Talking about kickback, do we have Isabel swinging?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. This is Isabel swinging.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it was my son's birthday, so...
I love the noises.
What he wanted to do. That was my first zip line. By the end, I was a pro.
Oh, OK.
And I was landing like a Marine
Of course you were.
on a beach somewhere. But that one, I was squealing.
How high up were you? About 200-300 feet there?
Miles in the sky.
Yeah.
Miles.
Yeah.
It was very frightening.
You did another one of those things. Do you know those, the climbing, the wall, the face, whatever it is?
Yeah, clip and climb.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, and you go up there. I got to the top, and then I thought, how am I going to get down? Because you have to abseil down. Don't like that bit. I could climb.
I didn't. Look, all those...
look.
Oh, sorry,
out.
that bit.
Yeah.
That was quite fun. But again, you can't see from that picture how high up I was.
So where's the entertainment in that? Just coming
I don't know. The kids are fearless. I was so impressed. My 6-year-old in particular just flew around there. Amazing.
Did you enjoy doing that?
I did by the end.
At
the beginning, I was doing a bit of Sir Ben Ainsley.
Because when they did it in the Olympics, they were up that wall in like 7 seconds. So how long were you there? How long did you get up?
There for like an hour.
Up the wall?
round and round.
Right, very good.
Up the wall. That about
Anyway,
sums
enough of
up
that.
my life. Up the wall. Right, here is our top story, and we should say that Paul will be back in about 15 minutes' time. A potential third assassination attempt on Donald Trump was reportedly thwarted on Saturday night.
Yeah, so according to local police, they arrested a man carrying multiple weapons plus fake passports, and he was attempting to get into a Trump rally in California. All very worrying.
He's 49 years of age. He's from Las Vegas. Vern Miller is the name, but he has denied wanting to hurt the former president after being released on bail.
Well, this comes as the local county sheriff said the man in question was likely to be a sovereign citizen, and that's an extreme group that does not believe in government control.
In the studio now, the chair of Republicans Overseas UK, that's Greg Swanson. Greg, good to see you again, and I know you weren't expecting to be in today for this, so thank you very much indeed for your commentary on this. Where does this leave us with Donald Trump? It appears that every time this man is going to go outside the door, he is going to be a target.
Yeah, it's troubling, but I think if you looked at the first assassination attempt, there were so many breakdowns from the Secret Service and law enforcement. So, you know, that was really troubling. This one, at least they caught this person early on. You know, he wasn't able to get in with his weapons. So, you know, it's troubling. It probably will go relatively unreported in the U.S. mainstream media. So good for you guys for covering it. It was really hard for me to find any information on it this morning. You know, Fox News will be the only ones covering it in the U.S. So I think anything that helps President Trump, the media will ignore. So you won't see much about this.
Being that they're not covering it in the US as a protection towards Donald Trump?
No, I don't think so.
Well, the FBI have dismissed it and claimed that that wasn't an assassination attempt. Is that right?
It could have just been some fringe.
This guy on bail.
I'm amazed he's been released already. That's a little odd to me. But, you know, I find that so many people are released without bail or on some very low bail after all. You know, the George Soros-backed DAs have sort of taken over the larger cities in terms of, they call it bail reform, but it's basically releasing or not imprisoning prisoners.
But you were saying that anything that helps Trump isn't getting the coverage in the States. You think that this will play well for him if it gets widely reported, because every time there's these attempts, there's the sympathy vote.
There is a sympathy
and it
vote.
sort of rallies his
And I think
support.
it also points to, it suggests that, you know, the people that hate Trump, you know, will do anything to keep him out of office. I'm not advocating that Democrats want to assassinate the president at all, but I do think that any moment the press, the media, which has really become an activist. I mean, it used to be biased. Bias you can live with, but now it's become an activist media. So if there's some news that helps Trump, like J.D. Vance did relatively well in the vice presidential debate, you know, they had to cover that. But anything that really helps the president, they will avoid. And I think this assassination attempt...
Yeah, the thing that really surprises me is, you're right, no charges. And as Isabel said, the FBI are saying, no, this wasn't an assassination attempt. But you have a guy who is travelling with weapons in his car, right, including rifles. He has got false documentation on him. He's got a false number plate as well. And
just out for a Sunday drive, baby.
Yeah.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah. Obviously, this sounds like a relatively fringe person or a disturbed person. So, you know, I wouldn't I'm trying not to draw conclusions about the campaign too much on this thing. But, you know, this is the third one in 3 months, and that should be troubling. Again, I think that the press will, for the most part, ignore it.
Yeah.
You know, I looked at the CNN website, not a word about it.
What about the polling? Because we are 3.5 weeks out from the big day. And it's, you know, really coming down to the wire, particularly in the swing states.
It really is. And I think that even over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there was, you know, Arizona, one poll had Kamala Harris up slightly, another one had Trump up a few points. It is really close, and every poll almost contradicts the other. But that's what happens in a close race. I mean, at this point in 1980, Jimmy Carter was comfortably ahead of Reagan, and look what happened. So a lot could happen in 3 weeks, but the trend right now is definitely Trump. Vice President Harris had just an amazing rally of enthusiasm after Biden was kicked to the curb and she was made the candidate. The party unified around her. The media really helped her in late July and all of August. So she had this meteoric rise. You'd have to expect that it couldn't continue indefinitely. But the last few weeks, as she's done some press conferences, timing is important here. Her CBS press conference was a disaster for her. Her other press conferences, her appearance on The View even, was a disaster. The more she affiliates with the Biden White House, the Biden administration, the tougher it is for her to distance herself from the failed policies.
I
And
read reports over the weekend that he was trying to distance himself, Joe Biden, the president, from her.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's probably really bitter about getting kicked off the ticket, and there's no doubt that Nancy Pelosi, engineered this, and it doesn't look like Vice President Harris did much to stop it. She definitely aided in the cover-up in April, May, June. Always denying that there was any cognitive issues with Biden. But as soon as the momentum was there, especially from Mrs. Pelosi, as well as others in the inner circle, she piled on. So I think there's a little bitterness there. The more that Biden campaigns for her, I think the worse it becomes for her, because she gets more connected to the failed policies. And she said it herself. That, I thought, was the biggest mistake she made on The View. It's very difficult to separate yourself from your own president when you're the vice president. Absolutely. But you don't run around bragging about how you were the last person in the room and that you were involved in every decision, because then people tend to affiliate her with the failed policies, with the open border and with the inflation that
Undoubtedly,
they created.
she is in a uniquely easy and difficult position, having inherited the role, but also trying to distance herself from what should have been incumbent and also trying to set herself apart. I don't envy her, and also taking on Trump. So difficult few weeks for both of them.
It really is.
Thank you so much, as always,
Thanks
Greg, for coming
me.
in at short notice and bringing us up to speed on everything there.
Thank you. Here in Britain, the politics from the government is at risk of scaring away businesses, as there are rumours the government plans to increase national insurance contributions in the autumn budget. This is the contribution from employers, not employees.
Yes, city leaders are warning of a threat to jobs and damage to investment in the UK.
In the meantime, Labour have set aside more than £500 million to manage small boat arrivals across the Channel for the next 10 years.
Yeah, the Home Office is seeking commercial partners to run 2 facilities to receive and process illegal migrants until January 2032.
OK, let's get an update of all of this and see where it leaves us. Catherine Foster on the day of a big business conference.
Yes, good morning, Eamonn and Isabel. A big day for the government. They've got this International Investment Summit happening at the Guildhall with a huge number of international business leaders. We're expecting up to £50 billion worth of investments to be announced today. So very good news, potentially, for the economy and for growth, which the government have said is their number one mission. So lots of business leaders, including the leaders of DP World. They are the owners of P&O Ferries. Louise Haigh, the Transport Secretary, of course, put her foot in it with them last week, talking about how she had boycotted P&O Ferries. It looked like they may not be coming, that they may pull £1 billion of investment, but it seems that that has all been smoothed over. So the government very keen to send the message that Britain is open for business, talking about slashing red tape, saying that they will cut it if it needlessly holds back investment, trying to send an optimistic and upbeat picture. A little bit tricky given the fact that they've spent months since they came to office being quite doom and gloomy about the economy, about the public finances, about the state of the country generally. And there are concerns among business leaders about what is looming in Rachel Reeves' budget at the end of October. The most recent talk is that the government might be planning to put employers' national insurance contributions up. The government said that they wouldn't increase taxes on working people, specifically income tax, VAT and national insurance, but they could argue that this is not a tax on working people. But business leaders, Lloyds Bank among them, have warned today that if they go ahead with putting up national insurance on employers, that would act as a handbrake on investment.
You, Catherine. Staying with politics, we do want to point you in the direction of a special debate programme we have coming on GB News.
Yes, Robert Jenrick and Kemi Badenoch will be battling it out head-to-head for the Conservative leadership in a special live event. You can watch it only here on GB News, and that will be on Thursday, the 17th of October at 7 p.m.
Meanwhile, here in the studio, we're delighted to welcome back Patrick Christie, starting to tell us more about his latest fundraising endeavours. How's it going, Patrick?
It's going very well. Thank you very much for having me on again. I do appreciate it.
Well, thank you for getting up so early.
That's all
You're
right.
kick-starting your week on a Monday morning with us on breakfast.
There's no excuse me not to be prepared for my show at 9 p.m. now, is there?
Exactly.
But last week was a big milestone week. Thanks to everybody's generous donations, we got up past £250,000, £228,000 now in donations alone. When you add gift aid to that, it's up at about 270 grand, which is absolutely amazing. JustGiving.com/page/save our seniors. I'm doing a variety of different things, as you know, to try to raise awareness for the elderly this winter who are going to be struggling with winter fuel payments and council tax rises, all of that. Friends of the Elderly, that charity, they do great work, whether it's taking them to or from hospital appointments or helping people heat their homes as well. I said that my next challenge, as it were, would be to do a cold water swim. I need to get cold. So I am going to be revealing on my show tonight where in the country that's going to be. So we had some great suggestions. James suggested Southport, Mary suggested Brighton Pier, and Anthony suggested Aberdeen. I can reveal it's not any of those, but I will be telling you where I'm going to be doing my cold water swim.
How are you with the cold? Are you a bit of a Wim Hof, that you enjoy it?
How are you with swimming?
Well, all the above.
No, I have, as you would imagine, done absolutely no cold water training up until this point, and I'm not sure I'm going to get the chance to. So this could be one to watch for everybody if you enjoy hearing me scream and in pain. So that's it, but I need to try to do some kind of physical challenge, I think, just to try to put myself in a little bit of discomfort. And I know this might sound a little bit corny because it is, but it's true that, you know, all right, I will be absolutely freezing, you know, towards the end of October out there somewhere in the middle of nowhere in freezing cold water. But the reality is that there will be pensioners in their own homes this winter who are sadly colder than that. And we need to try to raise enough money to stop that from happening.
And worth pointing out, the charity that you're supporting, their yearly costs are around £250,000, aren't they? And you've now exceeded that, so you are going to cover the expenses for that charity for 12 months.
For their grants, exactly. Yeah, for their grants. So the grants that they give out for people. And again, look, if you are watching this, or you know anyone who is watching this who you think might need a bit of help this winter, you can go to the Friends of the Elderly website, and it's quite straightforward actually. They show you how you can how you can get yourself set up and how you can apply for these grants, etc. And it's justgiving.com/page/save our seniors. We're up to 228 grand in donations alone right now, so thank you very much everybody for that.
Great stuff.
Patrick, thanks you very much indeed. Hopefully we get a lot of people watching you tonight and more importantly contributing to what you're doing.
Before we let you go, can we ask you about a story that is making the news today, which we spotted a little bit earlier on? So Sir Keir Starmer got in, well, he raised a few eyebrows, didn't he, when he removed this portrait of Margaret Thatcher from his office. He's now removed two more, Sir Walter Raleigh and Queen Elizabeth I from Downing Street, from their original positions. What do you think about this?
Yeah, and I believe as well Gladstone's gone. So that's the trifecta, they're out. Look, this is actually quite worrying, and it links to another important story. I'll be talking about these tonight. There are historic links to slavery with some of these people. OK, whether it's through Gladstone's father apparently owning slaves, Gladstone paying off slave owners as a way of ending the slave trade, Elizabeth I apparently being quite OK with the slave trade, as it were. So Starmer has removed these. Now, the Labour line is this is part of a long-standing plan to redo artwork in Downing Street. I wonder whether he's going to have Live, Laugh, Love on his wall at some point soon, or just like New York skyline. But no, they've gone. But it ties into this important story, which is that David Lammy, back in 2018, said that Caribbean people don't just want an apology, they want reparations. reparations. We want reparations is the turn of phrase I think he actually used. Well, now 15 Caribbean nations are demanding, or set to demand, £200 billion worth of reparations from Britain. So the big question mark now is...
Lammy's happy to pay that.
Well, we don't know. I mean, he's previously... I mean, he's put himself in an incredibly difficult position, hasn't he?
I was just reading that Ian Duncan-Smith thinks it's ironic that they're making these demands, given Barbados specifically has these links to what he described as genocidal China. So some strong words being exchanged there and lots of accusations of hypocrisy. What a strange world we live in.
What a strange world we live in. And you're right, you know, China is committing a genocide with the Uyghur Muslims. You've also got, you know, slave ownership in China, etc. It's not exactly a human rights beacon, is it?
Didn't
you know?
one of their economics professors who dared to question the role of Xi Jinping's economics recently just disappear?
Yeah, classic.
Completely.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, the question there would be, well, if those countries, or Barbados specifically, is happy to have ties with China, you know, are they really that bothered about the reparations, or do they just want the money?
Yeah.
And will we give it to them?
What I was trying to look for there in the paper I read today, that who he's replaced, these portraits, these British portraits.
Oh, yes, it's Portuguese artist, wasn't it?
A female Portuguese artist who's a feminist. Fine, but there must be plenty of British artists who are feminists, or a lot of British subjects who are worth their portrait being put up in Downing Street. So I just say to you, it is not his business or Downing Street business to promote the art and culture of Portugal.
No.
That's just what I'm saying. And it's so blooming obvious, and someone should get in there and tell them so.
Well, also there's quite an irony there, because so many business people I know are moving to Portugal because the tax situation is so favourable. And there's Starmer going, see you guys.
Yeah, exactly. But this is it. And you mentioned tax. This all comes under the umbrella, doesn't it? If we're expecting this miserable budget on October 30th, we're all expecting in some way or another to probably end up paying a lot more tax. There's a social contract, isn't there? And the people are going to have to ask themselves this question. Do they want to be paying more tax for reparations to the Caribbean islands? Do you want to see more money going out of your bank account for that? I dare say, if we'd have had a vote on that, it's another thing, isn't it? If it was in the manifesto, would we have voted for it? I suspect not.
Well, that's another question you can have your say on this morning. Please do get in touch and give us your opinion. Patrick Christie's, good luck and well done everything you're doing, and continue to do.
Yes, and 9 o'clock tonight you can find out where he's going to do his Wim Hof impersonations.
If you fancy naked swimming.
Not naked.
Didn't say naked, Eamonn.
Nobody said naked. He's done that already with the Dream Boys. He's not doing that again.
I'm not sure. Crack a few camera lenses.
Here's Amy Bakota with the forecast.
Despite the morning rain, it'll be a nice, warm, cosy day ahead. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Rain across the southeast through this morning, but it will be clearing away. Remaining cloudy across the south, though, sunnier further north in this afternoon. So fairly wet and damp start to the day for the southern half of the UK. Rain will slowly and steadily move eastwards, and it will turn drier by the time we head into the early afternoon, although some rain will linger on the North Sea coast as well. Further north, though, Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, drier and brighter through the afternoon. Temperatures milder into the double figures. And again, milder across the south, but feeling probably still fairly cool underneath that cloud that will be quite stubborn through the afternoon as well. Into the evening, then, we've got rain across Orkney and Shetland lingering on, and those winds again strengthening from that southerly direction. Drier and clearer across eastern parts through the evening, and parts of Northern Ireland, again, largely staying dry. Just a few cloudy spells as we head through this evening. But from northern England, Wales and further south, it will still be quite a cloudy evening through Monday as well, and lingering on in towards this evening. Overnight, that cloud is going to remain, is going to thicken, heading in towards the early hours of Tuesday. And this southerly wind is going to strengthen overnight as well. We can start to see with these wind arrows, it's strengthening as we head in towards Tuesday morning. So with the cloud and with those strengthening winds, fairly mild across the south, a few spots into single figures across the far north, but generally it'll be a milder, cloudier start to Tuesday. Through the rest of Tuesday then, so quite a cloudy picture apart from the very far north of Scotland, but notice that strong southerly wind. It will be noticeably breezier through Tuesday, and particularly over high ground and parts of Scotland as well. Heavy showers beginning to push into perhaps parts of Northern Ireland later, and it'll be fairly mild, but in that breeze it probably still will be feeling fairly cool.
We'll see a cold snap, which will quickly develop into a warm front. Boxed boiler repairs, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Right, time is ticking on your chance to win £36,000 cash in the Great British Giveaway. Just 2 weeks left in order to get your entry in. Make sure you do. Here are all the details of how.
Beat the rush.
There's only 2 on demand. Good luck.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning, Georgia. Your story is incredible. Just remind us of it. You quit running in, was it 2017? Because I mean, to be quite frank, your body was knackered, you had injuries, you thought you couldn't go on anymore. But then you started running again at Parkrun in 2022. And of course, this summer at the Olympics, you won bronze.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, it has been a bit of a journey. And yeah, there was a period of time where I stopped running completely. And then Parkrun was just something I got into with my friends, my family, just local community. And I started to see the improvements that led me to get back in contact with my old coach and just worked my way back up to elite level running and got a bronze medal this summer in Paris.
Did you ever think that would happen when you were beginning to take part in parkruns again? Did you ever think you'd be winning bronze in the 1500 metres at the Olympics?
No, not at all. It would have been absolutely bonkers, I think, to think that at the time. It was just building my way up, but it was all about finding happiness in running again. And that's really what Parkrun does, I think, really well.
And can you just tell us in the audience what had happened to you in 2017?
So I had been like a good junior athlete. I had gone over to the US on a track scholarship at university, and I just experienced so many different injuries. So various stress fractures in my shins, and I just graduated and just thought there's no way I can run anymore. So took a big break. And then, yeah, over the past few years, I just got back into running slowly, built it up, and Parkrun is just something that is on every Saturday. So many parks across the UK, very accessible, free. So it was just a really good way to get back into a fun but semi-level of competitive running.
The People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, Will, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Dubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the arguments. We get rid of the disrespect, and then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Flood Action Week. I don't know if you've been noticing any action being taken in the prevention or coping with floods in your area, but this is the week to do it and make everybody much more aware of what is going on, and there's no doubt it's bad.
Yeah, well, we had this record wet September, didn't we? And now the Environment Agency are urging the public to prepare for future floods. And yes, as Eamonn said, it's Flood Action Week, and that involves all of us as well.
OK, let's go now to Anna Riley. She'll tell you more. Anna.
Good morning to you both. Well, yes, I'm here in Hull next to the city's £42 million flood defence barrier that was put in place in 2022. It covers a 4-mile stretch of the city from St Andrew's Quay to the Victoria Dock Village, and it's been put in place as Hull is one of the lowest lying cities in the UK, which makes it prone to flooding. We saw some heavy flooding back in 2007 2013 here in Hull. Over 200 homes and businesses were evacuated, and it was even more devastating back in July 2007, where thousands of people had to be evacuated from their homes in Hull. Now, Flood Action Week, it comes 1 year on from Storm Babette, those devastating floods that we saw that wreaked destruction across the UK. We were covering that on GB News. I was in Catcliffe in South Yorkshire near Rotherham, where the complete bottom of people's homes were destroyed, and that impacted them not only financially but also mentally as well, with recovering from that. So as part of Flood Action Week, the Environment Agency say that we can put several steps in place to prepare ourselves for flooding. Now, the public have said that the Environment Agency have said for the public to check your long-term flood risk. You can use this free service to find out the long-term flood risk for an area in England, the possible causes of flooding and how to manage the flood risk. You can also sign up for alerts online as well, and you can take steps to protect yourself from future flooding. So storing important documents in flood-proof containers and taking rugs and small furniture upstairs.
Thanks, Anna. Thank you. Stay dry. Thank you very much indeed. Still to come, the nation's favourite breakfast TV personality. Enough about me. Why are we talking about me?
I'm already here. Paul Coit. He'll be here with all the latest sport.
Well, who says that's the case? Anyway, he's here after this.
It's fake news, isn't it?
The latest GB News travel.
Hello, good morning. I'm Andy Hilbert with the latest on the roads across the UK from Monday morning. In Northamptonshire, the northbound M1, there's a lane closed on the exit slip road due to a broken down vehicle at junction 15 for Northampton. In Hampshire, the eastbound M27 queuing with a lane closed due to an accident at junction 11 at Fareham. And in Hampshire, the northbound M3, a lane closed on the exit slip road due to emergency barrier repairs at junction 6 for Basingstoke. In Buckinghamshire, the northbound M40 queuing due to an earlier broken down vehicle just after junction 1 at the Denham roundabout, causing queues back to Hillingdon along the A40. And in West Yorkshire, the eastbound M62, long delays due to an earlier broken down vehicle just after junction 25 at Brighouse, queues are back to junction 24 at Ainley Top. And the M65 westbound in Lancashire, partially blocked due to an accident from junction 4 for Darwin and Blackpool South to junction 3 for Blackburn West and Wealton this morning. You're up to date.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Conservative MPs have finally chosen their top two for the leadership. And now, it's over to the members. Join me, Christopher Hope, on Thursday as Kevin Badenoch and Robert Jenrick are quizzed by Conservative Party members and myself at our GB News leadership event.
And afterwards, join me, Patrick Christys, with a live studio audience and a star panel as we discuss what it means for the Conservative Party and what it means for you. Decision Time, the race to lead, from 7 p.m. this Thursday, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm going to take a second to tell you all about my show, Jubes & Co. We start off with the issues of the day. We then bring in both sides of the argument. We get rid of the disrespect, and then you throw me into the mix. And trust me, I'll tell it exactly how it is. And then, of course, the magic ingredient, you at home. We mix it all together, and what have we got? In my opinion, the best debate show in town. Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mark Dolan tonight is your weekend dose of news, debate and entertainment.
This sounds like a wild conspiracy theory.
Don't miss my big opinion. Mark meets at my take at 10.
Democracy is a funny old thing.
And we don't do boring, not on my watch. I just won't have it.
Let's go and get another glass of that bubbly. You've earned it.
That's Mark Dolan tonight, Saturday and Sunday, 9 to 11, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
European nations not good for the Republic of Ireland. 2-0 loss to Greece. Paul's here to talk about England's win against Finland. 3-1 away. Good for them.
That was okay. I mean, it was all right. It was a win. But Lee Carsley, this is what all the talk is about, is whether Lee Carsley... It's confusing, right? And
so he's the manager?
Well, the interim manager. And he seems to be confusing everybody with whether he is. For example... Lee Carsley, I know for a fact, is not definitely ruling himself not out of the England job if he's wanted, not to turn it down if he's not wanted for the role. So that's pretty much it.
OK. So that's a yes.
I don't know.
So no, don't know.
What do you think? What do you think his chances are?
I think they could be pretty good. He's saying, you know, there's a world-class manager. We need a world-class manager that knows how to win. He's often talking about how he's won a lot.
Yeah.
With the under-21, so is he going to get the job, isn't he? Obviously, he wants it.
Yeah.
But I think he's probably just covering himself just in case he doesn't get it. But who else are they going to go for at the moment? I really don't know. Now, what about...
tennis?
Tennis. Yeah, this is interesting. Yannick Sinner beat Novak Djokovic in the Shanghai Masters yesterday. So that's the third time on the bounce that he's managed to beat him. But he still has this... problem hanging over his head when it comes to failed drugs tests. Now, the drug was Clostebol. And Clostebol, I'll tell you exactly what actually happened, is that he had his physio had a cut finger. This is what they said.
Oh, don't tell me he had steroid treatment on his finger.
Cut finger, just put some stuff on his finger, then did the massage, and then whatever went from his finger has then gone to Yannick Sinner, and it's like 1/1000th of a gram.
And that's supposed to have enhanced his performance.
Well, this is it, 1/1000th of a gram.
But you should be very careful where you stick your finger. You really should.
Exactly.
It's,
you do have to.
The consequences.
Absolutely, there are consequences. But anyway, it seems that Yannick Sinner has not got away with it yet, because although he was banned, then they said, OK, we'll let you off. Now it's going to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. WADA are saying we're still not happy. I mean, for crying out
I think
loud.
it's time for
really
some fresh blood.
difference?
I'm very happy to see Yannick Sinner coming through. Obviously, I'd have rather have seen Jack Draper, but they're pals. They're young dogs. Give them their chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
With stories like that, you tie it to the next story, which is about a world marathon record and how the record was broken. And I must say, you begin to raise eyebrows and say, look, I could imagine you breaking this record by 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, but by
2 minutes. Ruth Chepengetich from Kenya. Now, I'm not so much looking at that and thinking, oh yeah, drugs, etc., etc. It's the shoes that are making such a huge amount of difference. We've been talking about these for a couple of years.
Well, what have they got? Springs in them or something?
Basically, they are. I mean, that's what they're using. They're so spongy.
Have you ever worn those trainers that have got air cushions in when you do your 5K, couch to 5K?
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm still couching them.
I've got some of those trainers with the air cushion in. It really does send you on your way. It feels like, yes.
Or it feels that it sending you on the way.
But it's when you get those rubber balls and you throw them and they will bounce second higher.
Super balls.
That's it. And it's similar to those shoes. So they're thinking, well, what do we do when it comes to world records, etc.? Because they're just going to get more and more broken. Right. Anyway.
Happy birthday to who?
Oh, it's Ledley King's birthday yesterday. So I was in Leeds with Yorkshire Spurs. There's me and Michael Dawson were there, and also Sandro. Anyway, it was Ledley King's birthday, so we thought what we'd try and do in front of about 200 people is wish him a happy birthday. Have a look at this and see how you think this went. And Ledley didn't know this was happening, and it was him in the back of a cab. Here we go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to
Very good.
So,
very good.
That's what I'm going to do for your birthday next time.
Well, that was led by you.
Led by me.
I was very, very good.
By the way, what did you think of the singing? It was quite nice.
I thought you were very good at conducting the
Do
orchestra
you think so?
there.
That was, I was just getting into
Getting
my
the
part.
crowd going.
How old was Ledley? Spurs legend.
Ledley was, oh my goodness, I think 42. I think 42.
Just in case you asked me that one of the birthday.
Yeah, we're making notes now.
I think plenty of tables are turned. I've got the faintest idea. But he looks 33, Ledley, don't you?
Thanks, Coity.
Here's a story in the papers today. Can't stomach sober October. Oh, not another.
It's this one.
Drinking.
I used to down a bottle of wine. Now I stop at 1 glass thanks to a £3 pill that's like a Zempic for drinkers.
Well, what we're asking is there an actual pill to curb drinking? And if there is, would you use it?
Isn't there that awful phrase, don't drink and drive, take the drug and fly? Not advocating that, but it sounds like, that's what the paper is. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and this is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mark Dolan Tonight, weekends from 9 p.m.
Harry and Meghan haven't been pictured together for weeks now. Is there trouble in paradise?
Well, I certainly think that they are rethinking some of their past decisions. This is coming from a new piece in the Daily Mail. There is clearly a professional divorce of sorts unraveling before our eyes. And the Daily Mail says it was ultimately Harry's decision because his main objective right now is to be taken seriously in the charity space. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I believe that Harry is finally taking advice from seasoned PR experts that are saying, you know what, your wife's brand is toxic. To me, I don't think Harry would make that decision on his own. He's so stubborn. He sacrificed so much for Meghan, and I can't see him admitting defeat or admitting that he made a mistake. And in allowing PR experts to make these observations and following their direction, his hands are clean, and he won't necessarily get the wrath of Meghan Markle.
Now, Harry reportedly spent his 40th birthday away from Meghan, instead hiking with his friends.
They do say that Meghan Markle is ultimately the one that planned this trip, so maybe we are being too sensitive about this, but seeing him doing his favorite thing in the world, going to Africa, to, the Well Child Awards, I think that is more alarming.
Let's talk about Prince Andrew, who's got a headache. He's on the clock. What's going on?
Yeah, that's right. He is in jeopardy of violating the Crown Estate's lease rules, which specifically outline that repairs on Royal Lodge must be made to the property in regular intervals. Otherwise, they can terminate that lease agreement. The Express reports that the Duke has been given up until the end of the year to prove that he has the financial resources to refurbish Royal Lodge, or he's going to get the boot. He's going to be evicted.
GB News, the People's Channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, I was reading a banner at the top of the Daily Telegraph today, and it says, can't stomach sober October. So what else is there?
Well, apparently, you've all heard of a Zempic, haven't we? This is the fat jab. Apparently, there's the equivalent for people who are having too much to drink. We're joined by Dawn Neeson and Abby Hookway to go through the papers. And Dawn, you've chosen this. I don't know why. Clearly not an interest in the fat jab, but do you like a bottle or two here or there?
But also there's dry January.
Yeah.
And is there another month?
Sober October, and that's all I'm aware of.
Yeah, well, we're now,
Lent.
not that I'm counting, but we're halfway through Sober October.
Are you doing it?
Isabel, come on. No, I'm not.
No. Right.
Everything in moderation. But this is a very eye-catching headline, because I do know, as does Abby, we're discussing it in the break, lots of people who are struggling with drink addiction.
Yeah. Are they normally females?
Split, pretty much, in my case. But they wouldn't classify themselves as alcoholics, but they know their drinking is out of control. You open a bottle of wine, rather than having one glass, you drink the whole bottle. We've all been there. But this is a pill called naltrexone, which, when taken regularly an hour before consuming alcohol, has close to an 80% success rate of getting patients to drastically reduce or even eliminate drinking altogether.
Does it make you feel sick?
One of the side effects is potentially nausea, pretty similar to Ozempic, but most people don't have side effects whatsoever. And it just really, this is one person's case history in the Mail in the health pages today. But both Abby and I stopped in our tracks at this one, and we thought, wow, that's amazing. If this thing is out there with such a high success rate, and Alcoholics Anonymous has only a 15% success rate, not having a go at alcoholics, it works for some, it works, but this seems very successful. The problem is with it, it's not available on the NHS because it's out of licence, which means there are no big pharma companies making money from it, and it's not...
Well, also means it hasn't been approved by the watchdog.
It's not approved for this. It is an approved drug, but it's not approved for treatment of alcohol addiction, which is why GPs are a bit wary about prescribing it. However, you can, private clinics, a bit like Ozempic, you can buy it online from private clinics. So, and it's not expensive either.
Yeah.
So the question is, why isn't it available on the NHS? By the sounds of it, it should be.
Abby, are you a drinker?
Yes.
And would you be tempted?
Oh, 100%. One of my very close friends is an alcoholic and he's been in and out of rehab, and, you know, if this could treat him, this would be amazing. But 60 million people in the UK suffer from this. It costs the NHS 3.5 billion. Why would we not want to prescribe this?
Because we've got this split personality on alcohol consumption. You get any politician, no matter what their health policy may be, and they're opening a distillery or a pub or whatever it is, and suddenly everybody's all yo-ho-ho and the glasses up and whatever, and it's never seen as a problem. So we just don't know what to do about alcohol. My point is, I'm not a drinker, it doesn't matter to me, but this Sober October business, well, why are you introducing Sober October again and Dry January and all sorts of... If it's bad for us, if it's killing us, why aren't you doing something about it, politicians, like banning it?
Because there's too much money involved in the alcohol business, that's why they...
Also, people don't want to give it up completely, necessarily. People just want, you know, to have a bit of a break every now and then to give their liver, because your liver can regenerate. It's one of the only organs that can, so people take advantage of that, have a little pause, and then get back on it. I believe.
It is helpful. But, I mean, I was lucky enough, as you know, Eamonn, to work with the late, great George Best. And he could stop drinking for a month, not a problem. Yeah. It was moderating drinking that many people with alcohol issues struggle with. You know, it's like stopping completely for a certain period of time, fine.
No problem. It's just knowing when to stop once you start.
That's exactly the problem.
There's this story, Abby, you've got in the Express, and it talks about shops, pubs and restaurants could face a £2.6 billion rate rise. That'll be popular.
Yeah, and this is really sad, isn't it? Because you walk down your high streets, you see a lot of empty commercial properties. I'm a commercial landlord, so I know the impact of tenants, pubs, restaurants closing, and I think this is just going to be another nail in the coffin for them. I mean, this year we saw 80 pubs a month, January, February, March, close. 500 pubs went last year. It's like, when are we going to stop? When are we going to actually support them?
It's so depressing. I was in a town centre over the weekend, and just the sort of maintenance of our town centres, you know, the weeds and the flower beds, it just feels as though anything that the local authority is responsible for, they're just kind of downed tools, haven't they? And they obviously trying to increase revenue with all of these sorts of plans, but I don't know.
Well, do you know what it boils down to? That we, as public authorities and government and local authorities, whatever, we spend far too much money. And which we can't afford to spend. So, you know, all these people pop up and say, I think there should be a fund for this, and I think we should give 500 million for that, and we should... Where are they getting it all from?
From us.
We don't balance our books, do we? That's where the black hole is.
Yeah. And do you find that being a commercial landlord, your tenants, are they healthy businesses, or what's doing well and what's not doing well, or...?
Yeah, a lot of them are like your big brands, Costa, Greggs, they're doing very well. Charity shops are doing very well.
Nail bars, estate agents.
Yeah, beauty salons are doing really well.
Nail bars.
Yeah, and then the other time of shops, you know, your traditional clothes shops and stuff, they're not doing very well.
OK, interesting.
Dawn, MPs will finally vote on booting out the remaining hereditary peers from the Lords. This is in the Mirror today. Described as an indefensible peerage that they're being given. How many are there left that are actually hereditary?
OK, well,
how many?
it's a key vote that's taking place tomorrow. In 1999, Tony Blair cut the number of hereditary peers. There are, I think, 92 remain. I mean, there were 667, but there are now only 92. We've tried to do this before, but it does sound like they're having the key vote on it tomorrow. Whether it gets through or not is another matter. But it doesn't make sense. I mean, I understand it's a historical hangover from where we were, but we don't have to be there anymore. Why do we need them? What do they actually do?
Well, do you get more offended by people with hereditary peerages or people who've been given them for being in with
cronies?
Well, the cronies.
It is what it is.
People have been Prime Minister for 70 days and then they get a whole cohort.
I get offended by the whole lot, to be honest with you. I'm not a great fan of the House of Lords
altogether.
Not a great fan. I don't really understand what they do.
I think you need a second chamber, don't you, to hold.
But is this the right way to do it in modern day life? I'm not sure.
Why should a hereditary peer be there? I can understand people being appointed to that second chamber, but not if you're somebody's grandchild or
it's completely. I mean, it doesn't make sense anymore. So.
A word about Alex Salmond, incidentally.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever meet him, Dawn?
Yes, I did. When I was editor of the Daily Star, I was also a director on the board of the Daily Star up in Scotland, which was run by a different team.
Yeah.
And Alex Salmond was then in charge and would come to our board meetings. I mean,
I find him a formidable intellect.
Yes.
I'd have to say, whether you support him or don't support him, I think he was an incredibly smart man.
Politically, I thought he was amazing. I thought as a politician, he was amazing.
What he achieved from a standing start, how he came back from controversy after controversy, created new parties.
A huge political
and as an orator as well.
Absolutely.
Just so poetic sometimes, that Scottish way almost, that Celtic.
Yeah.
Very witty, very, very sharp, very clever. However, I'm not going to talk ill of the dead, and obviously thoughts with his family and his friends, but I think sometimes, as a woman, I found him slightly uncomfortable.
Abby, so if you go to the A&E, if your children are there, and, there's some obvious reason why they are there, it pays to let them go on their own, it appears.
I know, this is just insane, isn't it? I mean, I've got 2 little children, and when there's something wrong with your children, your heart, it sinks, doesn't it? You want to get them well. And to see that send them by ambulance and they'll get seen quicker than you actually taking them is just insane. You think, what are the NHS doing?
So literally, the wait is longer for children if they're taken to casualty by their parents. So are they?
I remember being told not that long ago that ambulances just simply can't attend emergencies anymore. In fact, there was this incident. It must have been over a year ago because we were still in London at the time, where a child had fallen from a height in the playground. They called an ambulance because he'd gone unconscious, and they said, if he's breathing, bring him yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry? What? It's like a child that's unconscious and fallen from a height.
So how did it get so wrong? I mean, why don't we prioritise things in the NHS that this is important? And if you go to A&E, it should be really bad. It's bad. And if you're going to A&E and it's not bad, you should give an imprint of your credit card or something and not have it refunded.
The problem, you've got a lot of people go to A&E now for problems they would have seen their GPs about. But now it's
you can't get in with the GP though, do you? And the blooming receptionist, you're on the phone with them for getting grilled, aren't you?
111, they always just say, go to A&E, especially if there's a child involved.
Well, homeless people go to A&E now just to get in off the streets. Just, they don't mind waiting because it gives them some sort of heat and shelter as well. This is the state of Great Britain. This is, you look at it and you think, how bad are things in this country? I would say they're pretty bad.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Do you feel as if it's like just falling down around you?
Yeah, it's like crime is up, isn't it? Our NHS can't. We're now taking stuff from our pensioners. What else do we want to do?
Well, let's look to America for some catharsis. You've got this picture story, Dawn, which I think is a fun one to finish on. And this is the extent of the love that some people feel For the Donald.
I do hope. Obviously, we've had the third attempted assassination attempt over the weekend, but this is the fun story, and I hope we've got the pictures. This is basically at Donald Trump rallies, the lengths people will go to show their support. We have there. You can see this is from the Daily Star. You can see Trump signet rings, which is the main image there, which look very lifelike actually. And there's also one chap in here who's got MAGA, Make America Great Again, tattooed on the back of his bald head, which is the bottom picture. You can see which...
Imagine how painful that would be.
It would be painful, believe me, it really would be painful. And obviously, you sort of like, you know, Trump clothing and Trump baseball caps, but it was the fact that, you know, it's the dedication. It's almost like he is a rock star. That's exactly what this reminded me of. Going to a Rolling Stones concert and you see the same level of devotion.
He's like Marmite, isn't he? You either love him or you absolutely hate him. Yeah. There's no in between.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you very much indeed for not being in between today. Abby Hookway and Dawn Neeson, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Right, stay with us. We're going to have a look at the forecast now. It's going to be quite a mild week, but I think there's going to be lots of wet weather. Here's Amy Bokota.
A chilly start will give way to a lovely, warm afternoon. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Rain across the southeast through this morning, but it will be clearing away. Remaining cloudy across the south, though, sunnier further north in this afternoon. So fairly wet and damp start to the day for the southern half of the UK. Rain will slowly and steadily move eastwards and it will turn drier by the time we head into the early afternoon, although some rain will linger on the North Sea coast as well. Further north, though, Northern Ireland, parts of Scotland, drier and brighter through the afternoon. Temperatures milder into the double figures. And again, milder across the south, but feeling probably still fairly cool underneath that cloud that will be quite stubborn through the afternoon as well. Into the evening, then, we've got rain across Orkney and Shetland lingering on, and those winds again strengthening from that southerly direction. Drier and clearer across eastern parts through the evening, and parts of Northern Ireland, again, largely staying dry. Just a few cloudy spells as we head through this evening. But from northern England, Wales and further south, it will still be quite a cloudy evening through Monday as well, and lingering on in towards this evening. Overnight, that cloud is going to remain, is going to thicken, heading in towards the early hours of Tuesday. And this southerly wind is going to strengthen overnight as well. We can start to see with these wind arrows, it's strengthening as we head in towards Tuesday morning. So with the cloud and with those strengthening winds, fairly mild across the south, a few spots into single figures across the far north, but generally it'll be a milder, cloudier start to Tuesday. Through the rest of Tuesday then, so quite a cloudy picture apart from the very far north of Scotland, but notice that strong southerly wind. It will be noticeably breezier through Tuesday, and particularly over high ground and parts of Scotland as well. Heavy showers beginning to push into perhaps parts of Northern Ireland later, and it'll be fairly mild, but in that breeze it probably still will be feeling fairly cool.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The latest GB News travel.
Hello, good morning. I'm Andy Hilbert with the latest on the roads across the UK for a Monday morning. In Northamptonshire, the northbound M1, a lane closed on the exit slip road due to a broken down vehicle at junction 15 for Northampton. Currently on the southbound M1 in Northampton, a lane closed there due to a broken down car, junction 15A for Toaster and Northampton Services to junction 15 for Northampton. In Hampshire, the eastbound M27 at the moment, we've currently got queuing traffic, a lane closed due to an accident, junction 11 at Fareham to junction 12 for Portsmouth for the M275. And in Hampshire on the northbound M3, one lane is closed there due to a broken down vehicle. That's junction 7 for Basingstoke South to junction 6 for Basingstoke. And in Buckinghamshire, the northbound M40, we've currently got it queuing due to an earlier broken down vehicle there just after junction 1 for the Denham roundabout, and also to in the Lancashire area, the westbound M65, partially blocked due to an accident at junction 4. You're up to date.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website gbnews.com.
There's only good luck.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, Will, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to State of the Nation, daily plunge into the stories shaping our country. I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and Monday to Thursday we bring you the insights, the facts, the truth about how our country is being governed. Because what happens in Downing Street matters down your street. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Police in America foil a potential third assassination attempt against Donald Trump.
A man has been released on bail after being arrested outside a Trump rally in California carrying weapons. He also had multiple fake identity documents.
The 49-year-old in question denies wanting to hurt the former president as the police claim he belongs to the far-right group Sovereign Citizens.
Elsewhere, business leaders warn the government taxing jobs would threaten employment and damage investment ahead of the autumn budget.
10 more years of small boats. The Home Office is setting aside £500 million to manage 2 new migrant centres in a bid to curb illegal immigration.
The Met Office is warning a wet winter. We'll be looking at how prepared Britain is to deal with torrential rain on this Flood Safety Awareness Week.
Rain clearing to the east through this morning, but will you see sunshine by this afternoon? Find out more with me later.
Very good morning to you wherever you're watching or listening from. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Isabel Webster, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Good news and bad news. Good news is you live up a hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad news is to get to your house, you've got to cross
over a bridge.
No, I say a bridge. It's like you can only go one
bridge.
way. You're going to go that way, or the other car comes towards you. There's not room for 2 cars. There's room for one.
Well, the worst thing is when you get over that bridge, then it's quite often flooded, and you have to reverse back over the bridge, turn around, and come another way. So what we're trying to say is, where do you live? Think about where you live, and if you're buying somewhere near a river, think twice, because we're all going to have to deal more and more, I think, with these.
But somebody would almost have to tell you, because we could look in the dry. You look somewhere and you say, "Well, this looks lovely. This is pretty. It's on a little hill or whatever." But then no one ever tells you that there is this huge torrent of water that could burst through here twice a year.
Well, my brother lives in a mill cottage. That's never going to be a good idea, is it? I mean, obviously they've diverted the mill away, but he's on flat land near a very fast-flowing river. Hasn't flooded yet. He's been there about 5 years. But you've got to be worrying every time you hear the rain.
Yeah.
I would be.
Well, that's why we're talking about this Flood Awareness Week. How aware are you of floods? And worse still, if you already know that you've got a house, a home, a business in an area that will flood, you have then got to face that flood and clean up, pay for it, whatever, and then maybe do it all again a short time later. That must be demoralising.
One thing I would say is if you live anywhere near a river, and I know this because for many years I was a reporter covering flood situations, and they often come in the middle of the night out of nowhere, have your precious photographs and your important documents, not only in a fireproof box, because you never know if there's going to be a fire, but not on the ground floor and not somewhere where it can flood. If you've got 2 stories, keep your precious things on the first floor.
OK, more on that as we progress through the next half hour. Top story this morning is...
Well, this potential third assassination attempt on former US President Donald Trump. It was reportedly thwarted on Saturday night.
Well, local police arrested an armed man. Now, he was carrying a lot of weapons and fake passports as he attempted to get into a rally Donald Trump was addressing in California.
Yes, the 49-year-old Las Vegas resident, Vem Miller, denied wanting to hurt the former president after being released on bail.
Now, this comes as the local county sheriff said the man in question was likely to be what is called a sovereign citizen. That is someone who doesn't believe in governmental control.
Well, earlier we were joined by American political strategist Scotty Nell Hughes for her take on this developing story.
The West is supposed to be a place of peace, a place where democracy rules and where people express themselves not by violence, but at the ballot box. And yet here we find ourselves in 2024 in an election where you've had multiple assassination attempts and threats against the President of the United States. This is not a third world country where coups and other ideas like this happen. No, this is happening in the United States of America. And I think I speak on behalf of almost all Americans that this just states how sad it is that our politics have become so dangerous in today's world. And if we do not press a big, I say the word reset, if we do not try to bring things back to civility in America today, that's going to continue to be felt in ripples in other countries and their election systems as well. We have got to start bringing common sense and sensibility and peace back to this process, or we're going to continue to have just a complete mistrust and distrust of all elections, but especially something as high as for the Oval Office.
Just lastly, can you tell us a little bit about sovereign citizen, which is what the county sheriff has said that the man in question was affiliated with? And this is someone who doesn't believe in government control. So, you know, is that a popular group? Is it an underground group? Tell it, because we're not familiar with it here.
I've never heard of it before, and unfortunately you have a lot of these fringe groups, and whether it's a fringe group on the right or the left, sadly enough, violence can be usually it's pushed by both sides. So I don't know if this is an extreme progressive group like we hear of Antifa, or if this is an extreme conservative group like they say of Proud Boys. Never heard of this group before coming into this, which means it's probably not necessarily popular. It's not necessarily, definitely not in the circles that I would ever run into. That being said, it will be interesting to see as more research goes into this group as to how large and the extent they are. But at this point, they've never really been on the mainstream before, and I seriously doubt after this association that they'll ever have a chance after this. At least I hope.
A look at some other stories coming into the newsroom on this Monday morning.
4 soldiers have been killed and more than 60 wounded in a drone strike on an army base in northern Israel. Lebanese militant group Hezbollah have claimed responsibility for the attack, which is the biggest loss of life since the conflict began. Well, the UN peacekeeping mission has said that Israeli tanks have forcibly entered its base in southern Lebanon.
Alex Salmond's family have paid tribute to the former First Minister of Scotland after he died over the weekend at the age of 69. In a statement released by the Alba Party, Mr. Salmond's family said that he was a formidable politician with outstanding intellect.
Sir Keir Starmer has reportedly taken down portraits of Elizabeth I and Sir Walter Raleigh that were on display in Downing Street. It comes after the Prime Minister faced criticism when it emerged he'd also removed a painting of Margaret Thatcher. In response, a Number 10 spokesperson said a change of artwork had been planned already before the election.
Yes, but a change of artwork to what and by whom? Leah says that considering that much of Number 10 is an historic and publicly owned building, true, I am not sure if it is right for Sir Keir Starmer to have such control over which portraits and what history is displayed. Maybe that statement was trying to say it had nothing to do with him, but my question is, why make this a showcase for a Portuguese artist?
Well, also, it just always comes back to that whole question of his operation inside Number 10. Who's calling the shots? Who's running the show? Sue Gray was booted out for not seemingly doing a good enough job. Morgan McSweeney's in there, and now there's this latest hoo-ha about the artwork.
Yes.
Is it just an omni-shambles, for want of a better word? Speaking of which, let's bring in Catherine Forster, who's our political correspondent. She is out and about for us today at the International Investment Summit, and we are going to be speaking to the government in just a few moments' time about that. You're in Westminster, forgive me. Peter Kyle for the government will be at this investment summit. Now, look, they are trying to talk about how this is going to be a big flagship event, and they've attracted some really big names. They're going to raise billions. Great. But I suppose, really, they need to turn the narrative around, because all of us journalists are asking, hang on a minute, are you about to break a manifesto pledge? And is that actually going to really harm the environment for workers and for growth in this country?
Yes, indeed, real concern that the government in the budget may be planning to raise national insurance on employers, not employees. They did, of course, promise not to raise taxes on working people, but they think perhaps that raising it on employers is rather different. So it looks like it's coming. The boss of Lloyd's has warned that that would act as a handbrake on investment if it happens. But today, a really big day for the government, this International Investment Summit at the Guildhall in the centre of the City of London. Then there's going to be a reception in St Paul's this evening with the King. So a really big day there, expecting that up to £50 billion of investment will be announced today. So a big, big deal, and the government wanting to get the message out that Britain is open for business. They want to say, look, we've got a stable government now. We're a good place to invest. The Prime Minister expected to say that they will cut red tape that needlessly holds back investment.
Hold that thought, Catherine. I will ask the government themselves. They're standing by and ready to go. Thanks very much indeed to you. And we say good morning to Peter Kyle, who is Secretary of State for Science and Technology. And indeed, I think you're at the Guildhall, are you not? I'm hoping you can hear me, Peter, and you're not having some issues with sound. Peter's having some issues, so we'll just talk amongst ourselves whilst we see if we can sort that out. But wow, the Guildhall looking very snazzy for 9:10 in the morning, and obviously hosting this huge event. And as Catherine was saying, then on to St Paul's Cathedral, which is right next door, for this event with His Majesty the King as well. So all the red carpet being rolled out there.
How are they using St Paul's Cathedral? Is it a conference centre? Is there a service?
No, so they're, I think, good question, don't know. They're in the Guildhall for now, and then there's some sort of event happening inside St Paul's Cathedral. I know that St Paul's Cathedral does sometimes host non-religious dues occasionally, but maybe there'll be a nod. Pray for investment.
I was at a carol concert in St Paul's Cathedral once, and sitting beside me was Christopher Lee, the actor,
very lovely.
Dracula. And he had the most amazing voice. And we sat talking for quite a lot during it. It was very good. Peter Kyle, Peter, you can hear us okay?
Now we can't hear you. We're good. Right, OK, we're good to go. Good morning, good to see you. The Guildhall is looking very fine indeed behind you. And you'll be very keen to sing the virtues of investing in this country. But my first question to you has to be, frankly, about national insurance. Would you like to rule out right here on GB News this morning any intention to increase national insurance for employers?
All of the manifesto commitments we made stand. We will honour our manifesto commitments, and the budget is the week after next. So we have this opportunity because I'm standing in a place where £40 trillion of global assets are represented by the companies that own them. That is what we should be focusing on right now. The budget's in a couple of weeks' time. We have this potential before us because this government, Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves and myself, we see huge potential in our country. This is one of those moments where we can unlock it. We are proud of our country, we are proud of the potential our economy has, and we are working to get deals that will benefit everyone across the entire country. I know your viewers are really keen that this investment doesn't just go into London, which is why we're making sure that all parts of the United Kingdom, everybody from every background, that will benefit from the jobs that could be created if we get this moment in time right. So that's what I'm absolutely focused on, and I think that's what people would expect me to be doing.
Peter, what jobs? What is? We talk about the potential. What way could that potential envisage itself?
Well, let me give you two examples that we've already announced in the run-up to this summit. The first is that the Go Ahead Group have announced that they're investing £500 million in new buses. Those buses are going to be built in the United Kingdom. They're going to be built in Northern Ireland, a place that you and I care very passionately about. So that's one investment where we have done our absolute level best to make sure that all parts of the United Kingdom benefit. The second example is work that I started in opposition. Back in February, I went to Seattle and met the chief executive of Amazon Web Services. I asked what it would take to unleash billions of pounds worth of investment into our economy, into Britain. And we had a fantastic conversation afterwards, and I explained to him what our programme of government would be if we win the election. We've won the election, we've done planning reform, regulatory reform, and we've created the stable conditions for the economy so that people can invest into the long term. And he has announced £8 billion worth of investment into our country. Now, when you build digital infrastructure and data centres, it's great jobs for plumbers, for the construction industry, and yes, those highly skilled jobs that come out of universities for data engineers and all of those highly skilled jobs of the future that are being created for people who are leaving university. And we are making sure that that investment goes into parts of the country where often industries have left those areas. We want to make sure we can incentivise those industries, these new industries, to go to those areas so that people don't have to leave the areas to find work if you have these skills of the future, for example. So these are the things we're really delivering already, and I'm hoping you'll see a lot more of it come out of today.
Yes, but you'll forgive me for nitpicking because people are listening very carefully to what you have to say here, and you have insisted that all of your manifesto pledges will be honoured. So are you seriously trying to tell me that when you insisted before the election that there would be no increase to national insurance, you did not mean at that point in relation to employers, you only meant employees? Because a lot of people will be listening to this thinking, hang on a minute, if you're a small business owner, you're an employee and an employer, and a lot of people will say it also directly affects employees if their employer is therefore being taxed more because of them. It's a very difficult thing to separate, either increasing national insurance or you're not. So which is it?
Our manifesto promised there'll be no new taxes on working people, and there won't.
OK, well, the chief executive of Lloyds Bank has said this morning that national insurance would be, and I quote, one of the worst taxes to increase because it would be a handbrake on investment. This is what you're trying to tell us you want this morning, and a hammer to business, making it more expensive to hire staff. So is that what the Labour government's trying to do?
The Labour government pledged there'll be no new taxes on working people, and there won't.
So you're dismissing the comments of the chief executive of Lloyds Bank as you stand there in the City of London at an international investment summit?
Today, 12 businesses, including JP Morgan and Aviva, the world's largest insurance company, wrote to the Times to say that Britain is now a place that they want to invest in. They read the conjecture, they probably listen to GBNews, and they hear the rumours that you're putting forward about something that hasn't happened. And yet they still choose this country to come to explore global investment on a historic scale. 40 trillion pounds worth of global assets are right here, most of it standing behind me where I speak. The Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, myself, we are here engaging with them, doing deals, showing we're open for business, and when they invest in our country, making everyone from every background in every part of the United Kingdom benefits from it. That is what people expect of this Labour government. That's what they'll get, and none of these businesses behind are put off by the rumours that are swirling around at the moment. They know that we are introducing legislation to increase the rights people have in the workplace. They know that we are also returning to a stable economy, planning for the long term, creating the conditions where we can once again return to the international stage with pride and sell what Britain has to offer companies from around the world if they come and invest in our country.
Meanwhile, Peter, your stage today is very different, very, very different. Now, from what I can see, that is the cathedral that you're in, is that right?
No, I'm standing in a central London location that's not the cathedral. I'm sure you'll understand me not going into too much specifics, Eamonn, but yeah.
Yeah, oh, everybody will know shortly anyway, but...
it's a historic building.
It's an historic building, yeah. It's very church-like, I have to say, but it's very interesting, but that is important where you are and the image that you're creating and the image of Great Britain. That is there. I'm sure if I was visiting that today from a different country, I'd be very, very impressed. Which brings me to what's going on in Downing Street at the moment as regards artwork with portraits of Queen Elizabeth, and who else is Queen Elizabeth I?
Sir Walter Raleigh.
Sir Walter Raleigh are being taken off the wall and replaced by the work of a Portuguese feminist artist. A lot of people today just a bit mystified as to why that is and why Downing Street wouldn't be there portraying and selling other images of British feminists or people important in Britain who need to be lauded?
Yes, I am standing in an historic building because this is an historic moment and a historic opportunity for our country, and that's what we're trying to grapple with. You know, I was in number 10 just last week. The art on the walls provokes conversation about what is great about Britain, and I'm sure that all of the pieces of art that you've just mentioned will provoke similar conversations about why Britain is such a great place to invest, to do business, to come and live and work and have a great life, to explore your potential. These are all the sorts of things that every administration adapts to try and reflect the moment that they are living in, and nothing is new with that at the moment.
Lots of people will be watching with interest to see how this investment summit goes, and lots of questions over whether or not a socialist government, a government that is very much in hoc with the unions, will be able to also be a party of the business. Now, many people are saying that Louise Hay is evidence that this is not possible. She is, of course, your Transport Secretary. She very nearly completely ruined painstaking efforts to ensure that £1 billion of investment was brought into the United Kingdom because she is so closely affiliated with the unions. Should she be sacked for it?
Well, you say, yes, painstaking efforts being made. We made those painstaking efforts, and we have done, which is why you see this hall full of global businesses coming here to see whether we are the country that is worth investing in, and they are. So we have moved forward on that issue. The global parent company, DP World, 4P&O, they're here. The investment program is unfolding. We should celebrate the fact that we have such global investment that is here, that is already underway. That is one investment program that we can already talk about, and it's into our critical infrastructure going forward. And I'm really pleased. We are focused on those big issues. So because we've got the fundamentals right, you know, where we do come across challenges, and every government will have challenges, we have never been knocked off track, and that's what this issue shows us.
Secretary of State, thank you very much for your time. Have a good day today. Appreciate you talking to us. Thank you very much. Right, here is our competition, the Great British Giveaway.
On demand. Good luck.
It's a good day with the bad weather to be entering that competition, and maybe something that could end up changing your life for the better.
What would you do with £36,000? I think a little trip to the sunshine wouldn't go amiss, would it, in all this weather? Oh, yeah. It was absolutely chucking it down as I came in this morning.
Yes.
Morning. It's been sort of quite a long, wet autumn already, and we're only here on the 14th of October, so, you know, what kind of winter are we going to look at?
I'd buy a car. You know, a classic car, something that's, you know, 40 years old or so, but brought up to date, completely brought up to date, beautiful, nice upholstery.
Yeah, but that depreciates in value straight away. It's not a great investment.
Well, sure, holiday doesn't appreciate in value.
Well, it's memories for a lifetime.
Well, that's...
Yeah,
the car would do it for me.
I had a very funny... We'll show you these pictures just to part ways with you all, but I was out and about over the weekend zip-lining, which has been tickling Eamonn, because I did send you the pictures last night.
I thought you were wife-swapping.
What, swinging? Oh.
And the amazing thing is,
always.
It didn't snap.
Under the weight, the colossal weight. Thank you very much.
Bev and Andrew from 9:30. Good morning, guys. What's in store?
Morning. We just hot-footed this into the studio.
Well, we're going to be talking about the investment summit, missing one big person.
Who?
Elon Musk.
I know.
One of the biggest investors in the world, the richest man. Those extraordinary images we've been watching today of the rocket coming in, the chopstick manoeuvre. We know he's had a few run-ins with this British government, but why isn't he here?
Well, they're claiming he hasn't got an investment programme at the moment.
Get him here.
Get one.
They might get one.
He's been highly critical of Starmer since he's been in office. Highly critical, mainly about free speech. because Elon Musk was sort of incensed that people were being put in prison for writing things on
and
Facebook.
Of course, talking about free speech, they've gagged, haven't they, the Transport Secretary, Louise Hay.
Do you think she's going to survive this?
Yes, she will, I think.
Because she seemed to let slip about HS2 as well, and that investment.
But she said about P&O, they're a rogue company, and I don't use them, and I encourage everybody to boycott them.
And in fairness to her, what a socialist minister should be saying.
Absolutely, but thrown to the wolves, Eamonn, by Number 10, by the business secretary, Johnny Reynolds, yesterday, who said it's not what we think.
OK.
They've got to get their act together.
OK, guys, you get your act together and have a great show from 9:30. Thank you both very much.
Thank you. We'll see you bright and early. Bye-bye.
In the morning.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through this evening, largely dry across the eastern half of the country, but we will have rain arriving from the west and it'll be turning milder as well. So ridge of high pressure at first, fairly settled conditions, but we do have this area of rain and this frontal system out towards the west with southerly winds developing through the end of Sunday. So fairly patchy rain across the far north, but across the far southwest, Wales, Devon and Cornwall, heavy rain and quite strong winds developing as we head through this evening, quite blustery across the southern half of the UK, and that frontal system slowly moving its way eastwards. Milder for all, particularly across the southwest, but even parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland a touch higher, although there still will be a few isolated frost patches in rural spots. Back to the southern half of the UK though, so quite a damp start. It could be quite difficult driving conditions through the morning rush hour with some spray on the road. But further north, it'll start to become a bit drier and brighter. Certainly places such as Northern Ireland and parts of North East and Scotland. It'll be a fairly dry, bright and crisp start to the day on Monday. Further west across the Western Isles, still lingering on underneath that band of rain and with those stronger winds coming from that southerly direction. Through the rest of Monday, though, that front system does move off in towards the North Sea and it does become drier, particularly across western parts through the rest of Monday. Further north, there's particularly some decent sunshine across Northern Ireland and Scotland, but further south, it's quite stubbornly holding on to that cloud. So mild temperatures, but still fairly cool. Temperatures again into the double figures across Scotland and some bright sunshine. Tuesday will be starting generally cloudier for much of the UK, and notice these winds will be picking up as well. So particularly parts of Scotland will notice a more blustery